Hey, only my mic is live. I'm gonna keep the players silent for so long. Hey, you are all live on the mic now. Michele, can do the speaking.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Fate Script Digital Edition, Episode 30, Viscous. Can you say it? Can you say it slowly? Viscous.
I would rather not.
We're here. Oh, okay. Hello, everyone. We're here in the digital world, and I am a material girl. And we're just doing some. Yeah, correct. That's all we need. Just the unhinged. Thank you, everybody, for joining us and your patience while the setup happens. Thank you very much, Emily, for doing that. I'm away from home, so we are not doing it live together. Otherwise, uh, you'd see us, or we would see us, I guess. Yeah, so we're here. We've got some shout outs, and I would love to start with just as per the usual. We are on the YouTube and Apple Podcast and Spotify. So we are on Kofi. If any of those things interest you and you'd like to look at us after this the live stream, feel free to get in on that. If you want to donate through here with your free Amazon Prime subs and slash or Kofi, we really appreciate everything you do for us with that too. That's my shout out. What I'd like to know though is what you've been doing, Emily, specifically for with D8 Dungeon and Meeples and Dragons.
Yeah, cool. As always, I'm gonna talk way too much. So welcome to that. Enjoy the next 3 minutes of life you won't get back. I have been doing a fuck ton of stuff. Thank you, first of all, to Meeples and Dragons for lovingly bringing me on board as a cast member for Radiant Shadows. It has been an absolute pleasure so far, specifically to Ham the DM, who it has been so fun to craft a fun little backstory that you should all hopefully get to experience at some point. Who knows? I'm just here as a supporting character and grateful to be here. Yeah, you can catch me over there. Not ruining anyone's life because it's not a one shot, and I have to be nice to everyone, which is tough for me. Um, Speaking of, wow, I just heard myself. That was an experience. Speaking of ruining people's lives, I'd like to thank anyone who donated to the Date Dungeon Drive over the weekend. It was a 48-hour stream, starting with a battle royale with Erin from Let's Roll for Dragons, and also Promethean from the Law Rights, and also prolifically casual streamer with a zero in it. Um, it was a ton of fun. They ended up smashing all of their donation goals. They got to over $5,000, which means I will be getting 2 Date Dungeon tattoos. Um, I'd also like to thank Declan, who just put on a fucking excellent event and allowed me once again to play an alien and absolutely ruin his life. Um, but yeah, no, it's there's a lot of shit going on. We got Echoes of Divinity coming up in a couple of weeks. We got the Lorites coming up again. Who likes sleep, really? Speaking of the Lorites, we have to send a huge congratulations over there as they have just hit affiliate status. So congratulations
Hey.
um, to Promethean, Ash, and just everyone who's like ever tuned in there. It's been an absolute fucking pleasure. Yeah, that's a ton of shout outs I have. Shout out to Cloud Kill Clothing for all of your TTRPG streetwear. I have just received a large package in the mail of Castleton merch, which is great. And shout out to Ravens Ridge Emporium, who have sent me a shipping notification today for dice that I have on the way, which is excellent. I think that's all I got tonight, guys.
And if you want to also look at some merch as well from Fate's Grip, you can also head over to the fourth wall and get some merch there as well. My hat's around here somewhere. Been using it. I've been spruiking it. No, I lead with my head now. You know, I go down and just yeah, yeah. This is us. Just do this. People stare at me. But that's it. Yeah, that's. Thank you very much for that. It's good that you had a good time with them and a regular now with Meeple.
Hmm.
Yeah, amazing. That's awesome. All right. Any other shout outs that anyone wants to have? Do say. All right. Beautiful. Let's get started then. Shall we recap?
You're
Obviously,
the
another
you're the
shout out.
dungeon master here, so
We don't unfortunately have our Annalise here with us, our druid. She's in the middle of some amazing adventures overseas. Um, we wish her all the best, and hopefully she's having an amazing time there as well. All right. Thank you. And yeah, well deserved for Emily as well. So let's recap the scene from last week. So, your sleeps after drinks and item studying were cut short as you all awoke to a figure at the end of your beds, pointing to a fire being started outside a couple of blocks away by a figure too far in distance to identify. You apprehended the assailants and saw them to be Nyx, a changeling from Kailani's past. You were interrogating her, and the room in the inn exploded in sound as she was rescued. Some semblance of a plan forming reached your ears as this group of changelings wanted to take over the Wayfarers for some reason, while Rin saw Wayfarers once dead being saved from the fire and alive before his eyes. So, as you are now recovering from this attack in the inn and in Abeloth as well, uh, Nyx is gone. Six figures had taken her away in this chaos, and the Wayfarers are well. They were saved by you all, and the only you, Rin, really did see the people who, but you did communicate this. You saw the people who were in the graveyard, in the coffins, not alive, in front of you, alive, well, and thanking you for saving them. What you also remember, Locke, is that book, the Book of Time, which had inklings of essentially the writings from very powerful mages and the words the past uh, and the future, oh, sorry, the past and the present being written on certain pages. So you're all now rested and you uh, come together once again in the morning where you find the inn quiet, but there, you've been taken into other rooms to keep and kept safe as well. So you are in different rooms and outside the room that was destroyed, and you have guards of the city guarding your doors. Though they haven't talked to you personally, they are guiding you so that nothing else befalls you during the rest of the evening. And the evening passes then uneventfully, and you awaken to a bright new morning with that. As you wake up, you do smell that smoke or the aftermath of the night before reach your nostrils firstly. It's almost like a memory, and then you do get a whiff of it as you look outside your windows and you still see a little bit of smoke here and there as the charred wood from from the wayfarers uh, abode, I guess, still being doused. It was a fairly massive fire. You can imagine from this distance that some information has been destroyed, and you all saw it from the inside as well. Lila greets you as you all go down to have some breakfast, and you have a meal together. Lila's with you, and Elisa's with you as well, though she's quite quiet in her words. She doesn't say too much. She gives you all a quick greeting, hello, hello, but otherwise silent.
We have all
Lila.
come down at
Yeah.
once together.
Yeah, look, shortly after one after the other, yeah.
Think I would have, based on the experiences that I've had over the last 24 hours, probably deliberately kind of slept in a little bit. So,
Yeah,
not trying to be cagey or anything, but just like deliberately taking my time, not rushing my way downstairs.
love it. No problem. So you all about halfway through to almost finished your meals once Kailani joined you. Is there anything you'd like to do?
So we all currently
Remembering,
are at the
yeah,
table
yep,
together.
you're at one of the tables. It's the otherwise the entire inn is deserted. There's really not even ever so barely you can see the innkeeper, that halfling woman, poke her head out just to see whether you've been looked after, and then or need any other assistance. But otherwise, even she hides herself away a little as you see quietly, but with focus guards, even what people that look like they're investigators, come in and start to look around, see why this the events from the night before had happened. So there's a bit of to and fro from the town guard.
I'll kind of look around, perception checking, in a way that I don't need to roll, but I'll turn to Rin and looks like that gold bar paid for our privacy at least.
Yeah, gold bars pay for everything.
It's true, yeah, can buy most things, unfortunately. How are we all feeling about last night's events? In Kalani's with us,
Kalani's not just yet with you, no.
and Ivor is there.
Yep, everyone else is.
I know that he wouldn't know of what had happened, but I'll kind of friendly nudge him on the shoulder. Like, thanks for checking in on me before you dashingly busted into the other room and checked on everybody else but me. But that's fine.
Doesn't sound like something I would do.
Yeah.
Sounds out of character for me, but you're welcome.
uh, Again, how are you feeling?
Yeah, well, like most things, I kind of had all these thoughts about what could have been happening, but none of it really makes sense.
I
Things
feel
are a
like
bit disjointed.
Yeah,
a
like
lot of what I worked for has been greatly diminished.
Well, I think yourself and I'll look up towards there's a staircase up that leads to where the
There
rooms
is.
are.
Yep.
Uh, Perhaps yourself and Kalani might need to have a chat about some things.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that.
Lila pipes in and she says, "Well, we definitely have a connection between whoever Kailani's people are in the past and your wayfarers, Ivor. How powerful, in fact, are the wayfarers? What could a group of changelings uh, seek in terms of, I guess, simply power, influence? What can the wayfarers actually do if you weren't a good people, if you weren't simply a service, if you were taking advantage of people? What could actually be done? I'm assuming at the very least um, bribery.
Well, a lot of people send very sensitive and awkward things through the mail, and that's why we don't open stuff up. That's like the one rule. Could you
Well,
imagine? But anyway, that's maybe they want to. There's something important that's getting delivered, or maybe we have records of people who are. Well, we used to have records. I look out the window at the burning building. I said there were records. Who knows what's left of them? Of different people and where they are throughout the realm. Perhaps that, but I don't know. I think I don't know. I don't know if I have to reveal an awful lot about my past, and so would Kailani, I think, to uncover any connection. And who knows how much of that we'll be willing to do.
Well, from simply a surface level, if one were to continue to exist as what they would say uh, would be a legitimate business, undercover, however, they have ill intention. You could open up mail. You could write letters to others. There's forgery. You could completely disrupt the communication. It can be disastrous. False information being sent here and there. There's a wonder there's such trust that's been put in, and a careful trust that's been instilled in the wayfarers up until now.
Yeah, I mean, we're not renowned for being super reliable about delivery, but we don't go through your stuff. But it might not get there for a while.
Well, let's just hope that their intention is simply to find a particular letter that they need to uh, change or not have delivered at all, and not want to disrupt the whole system.
I look out the window at the burning ruin. I go, there's a good chance they're not going to find that letter, I would say, if it hasn't yet been delivered.
Well, it might be on the way.
Maybe.
You say that your wayfarers perhaps are sent these letters in their hats, and then if they're the closest wayfarer, they go to these towns and look for these people.
And that's it. Yeah. I mean, the letter kind of taps you on the head. And then hopefully whoever sent it has given you appropriate information, sufficient information, and not just something super vague. And then you figure it out and you just deliver it. But you know you're kind of near it, adjacent to it, or at least you're the closest one.
And there would be hundreds of these wayfarers in the wild at any one time.
Yeah, all over the place. Especially
a well-established system.
I mean, is it? Or it is, but it is also just a bunch of guys wandering around at the same time.
Are they safe? Are they safe anymore?
I would say no. They're not safe.
Here's the answer I need. And Lila turns and she opens up a piece of parchment. She starts to take a quill to it and starts to write something in it. Closes it up and puts it away without sharing.
What was that? That was very ominous.
Let's just call it a worst case scenario.
What? Okay.
They're sharing this information with your friends?
I normally would. I'm just concerned that you don't have we don't have a high opinion of the 12, and perhaps it's best if communication between them and us simply is kept to me. I have a bit more connection with others and them with my lineage, and I mean all the letter entails. And she pulls the parchment back out and puts it on the table, and there you can see what looks like the start of a letter back to her mother, Avalea. It looks like just the start of a letter that she might ponder on and finish later in regard to help or aid that and the latest news about the wayfarers. Would this seem prudent?
I mean, you don't have to prove yourself. You could just tell me. I trust you.
Thank you. I thank you. I feel like if I did send this, even with everyone's okay, it would still seem a bit off, a bit of a bad taste in one's mouth.
I mean, she is also still your mother. You permit whatever message you wish to send to her.
Thank you. I appreciate
Even
it.
if it is just to see how you are doing. Yeah. I'm sure she may have some feelings about you leaving the ministry.
She's already received that letter, and though I do not want to wait for a response, I'm sure one is forthcoming. It will get here probably uh, in the form of a mimic or something like that, trying to chew at my face in the disguise of a parchment.
Yeah, she has a sense of humor then, at least.
That was
Yeah,
oddly specific. Has that happened
in a
to you
way.
before?
It,
No, it hasn't happened to me before.
uh, perhaps one last thing, and I'm going to turn to you as a DM for a moment. Rin, I think you did tell me about the zombie dwarf spirit things. Yeah.
Yes.
The what?
Uh, the zombie dwarf spirit things coming out of uh, the burning building.
The wayfarers that we saw in
Yeah,
the graveyard.
that were coming out of that place as well.
Yeah, I don't remember a zombie dwarf spirit, but I remember the wayfarers.
Oh,
That
I'm not sure what they were. Either of those two things. I'll talk to Rin then and be like, "Hey, do you want to elaborate with our friend about what we saw coming out of that place?"
yeah, well, I mean that's what I was thinking about last night. I was kind of half expecting that maybe the sorting center wouldn't be all burned up, like maybe it was from days or weeks ago, because what didn't really make sense about them maybe being changelings is that Nyx was trying to set them on fire and they didn't smell dead, and the way they're acting, and it was a bit distracting at the time, but we were busy. That book you said it had the past written on it while all this was happening. Plus, like the weird ghost thing that pointed at it out the window. So I thought maybe instead of them being changelings, they were like we were experiencing the attack on the Wayfarers where they actually died in the past. Because then the book stopped making the humming and it said the present, and we were kind of back to normal. But,
Lila says, "Can I see the book?"
well, I mean, Locke's got it.
Locke, if you don't mind. So you saw people who you thought or we thought were dead at the
Well,
graveyard.
he knew they were dead because Locke used the speak to dead on them. I specifically saw that guy, and he was telling me that he was like in the recent past, they were like studying. So
Mm.
he had, well, if it was him, he had memories of the previous day or two where nothing had happened. And I don't know if they're either changelings, but it doesn't make sense why Nyx would be attacking them.
At this point, Kailani, you start to make your way down, um, overhearing just this part where Lila says, "Well, the book might impart a little bit more information about this. Perhaps we should check out the graveyard again to see if the bodies are still there. If yeah, if there's any remnants of them."
Yeah, well, I mean, that was also on fire.
Yes, we seem to like setting fires.
And Lee says, yeah, yeah, it was, yeah, I remember that a little."
I'm gonna
Sorry, you
smile.
go.
I'm just gonna say I think we should. We should. I don't think it's a bad idea. There's nowhere else to start. We may as well go and investigate the graveyard. And I'll
I
smile.
don't think it's even worthwhile. They were all dead. And if this is a pattern that's being repeated, then they will stay dead. And there is no point wasting our time.
I'm not going to argue the point because I'm expected to get roasted by Kailani later. So I'm going to say, okay, and smile and eat my bacon.
Well, hold on. I mean, wouldn't you want to know if they were the other changelings or not?
No, no, I don't. Because it's very
What?
obvious that they are all throughout this town anyway. I don't need to know exactly who they are. It
But
is
do you want?
a it is a process of elimination that my likely changeling brother and adopted father, if that's what you wish to call them, are nearby. I don't need to investigate a graveyard for that knowledge.
Well, what about you, Ivor? Do you want to know if your brethren or work colleagues, as you say, are potentially changelings now, or if they're just zombies? You are muted. Lila cast silence on you because you wouldn't shut up last time.
Classic. Stop doing that, Lila. It's not funny. I think investigating the death of my colleagues probably shouldn't take precedence over Kailani's family. I'm going to turn and say, how will you track them down?
I don't want to track them down. I would like to stay as far away from them as humanly possible. Why would I want to track them down?
I mean, don't you want to avoid contacting them, and thus knowing where they are would be a good way to do that?
I mean, hypothetically, Kalani, would you not like to be free of them in some capacity?
How do you suggest I do that? Because they are three of what could be hundreds.
I mean, it's a fair question back. I would not know. Perhaps your insights, as we think about this, they must have a head to this organization.
Maybe so. Um, but my
Forgive me,
adopt.
I don't want to pry into your personal.
I think I've been open enough. Like, yes, I didn't tell you all everything up front, but I think I've been a pretty open book since the discovery of all of this. So it's not like I'm hiding anything or trying to be cagey. I, I don't think we could beat them. We could not
It's
take them down. That's not something that I foresee us being able to do at this point in time. Do you know how hard it? None of you even suspected that I was not who I appeared to be. I'm one person that is nowhere near as experienced as the rest of these people. In comparison, I was really fucking shit at what I did, at least until I met August.
But I knew you were sus.
No, you
I didn't,
didn't.
I didn't know like specifics, but I knew you were suspect.
Okay, Wayfarer, Mr. Tortle Portal.
That's a true story.
Remember also that we shared information with each other, and I know a lot about you now.
That's like calling me out in front of everyone.
Well, what do you expect? You have quite literally just done the same.
Did you say that because there's literally no one else in this bar?
Every now and again, a guard walks past, but they don't seem to be walking directly in front of your table.
I'll take my lumps. Well, what do you suggest we do then? What's the best path forward?
Oh, if I can intervene, I didn't mean to think that you weren't being an open book, especially from the last town that we came from. It's more so I can see how and realize how fresh this is.
It's not fresh. Been on the road for quite some time. I appreciate what you're saying. Um, it is. It's not something that I'm avoiding, by the way. It's just I wouldn't even know where we could begin. How do you tear down something that large without doing it from the inside out? And I'm not inside anymore.
I guess coincidentally, we would start with Ivor. They must have a reason to want.
Lila says, didn't she ask for you to join in again? Didn't she ask for you
I
to
won't
come
do
back into the
that.
fold or something?
No, I won't do that. Have you ever watched someone innocent that is not putting up a fight be murdered in cold blood?
Yeah, we did.
Lila says, yes.
Like that guy from the alley.
Not like that. This is someone that's literally begging for their life. Have you ever witnessed something like that?
No, I shouldn't make light of it either. Not like the guy from the alley.
So imagine witnessing that with multiple families and then expecting to live within their bodies, essentially. You are becoming them. I don't want to do that again. I won't do it again. I refuse.
Lila says, that's fair enough. I just thought it might be a way back into the fold, into their group secretly. But if infiltration is not the answer, I fully respect it.
I also don't know how
We
we would
would,
infiltrate with all of you. None of you can change your appearance like that anyway. Disguising oneself is one thing with magic, but magic is easily seen through.
How do we see through that? How do we see through it? How do we know?
There are specific ways that I believe we were told about last session.
yes. The powerful spell. It's it's well known as being called true seeing. It's only the most or some of the more powerful mages in Corvair understand its intricacies enough to cast, and the components and the sigils to learn are quite thorough. Yeah, to others or to anyone less learned, they simply appear as a bunch of uh, icons that cannot be read, as though it's jumbled. But for the people who focus, or for the powerful who focus long enough, they understand its words.
Right.
Through seeing is one of the only ways.
So I can cast it if I just need to find it written down. Gotcha. 100%.
Well,
Would I know if dragons had true sight or not?
if dragons had true sight, true seeing. Good question. You can roll an Arcana check for me.
Or would I be able to go a bit of nature?
Nature, or it's still magical in essence, and dragons are magical beings. I know what you mean when you say nature, but because it's specifically to do with, say, a spell and not to do with the upbringing or life of a dragon specifically, I'd have to go Arcana.
That is a 16.
A 16. Okay. Oh, there are you in the Fey language and in Fey stories specifically in Sylvan, you have read some fairy tales, and it's only fairy tales that you really can glean this information. But there are many dragons in fairy tales, for good and ill, and the power these dragons can hold, the spells they cast, they can bring meteors from high above and cast them into the ground, exploding them in fiery conflagrations. You've heard of dragons completely changing their form from being massive to being tiny, and vice versa, and living amongst humans for and humanoids for years at a time, which is almost unheard of in the magical theme to perpetually be something like that if you're not a changeling, but through spell. Um, there's one instance of a dragon in the story being able to fully understand the deceit that a treant, a massive tree in a forest, had had conjured, and you feel like this might have something to do with being able to see through illusions, see through deceits or lies by magic. So yeah, it's very rare, but you have heard of it.
Am I mistaken? Because I think this may have been the one episode that I actually wasn't here for. Didn't Inialo reveal himself to be a dragon as a
He did.
human?
He did.
They are. What about that Inialo guy from the tower? Do you think? Maybe I heard that dragons might be able to see, and isn't he one of them?
I have had little experience with dragons in my time, so I don't know. I'm
Besides,
not
he's going to
sure.
want us to free his family before he helps us.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it was pretty dismissive of his request, but maybe there's a reason now. It might be a bit more transactional in our favor.
I also feel like if maybe he had have seen through me, maybe I would know about it or have perceived it.
Well, I mean, if he's portraying himself as a human, maybe he's a bit more sensitive to just blurting that out. Like, if I knew, I probably would have gone, "Hey, what's up with your face?"
Well, no, but that my point is that there is someone that has called me out already in front of all of you. So there are
And who
ways.
was that?
Uh, a friend of your sneezing friend.
The Juraskos.
Yeah.
Well, how did he do it?
Through the lens of a glass device of sorts.
Well, there we go. You just got to get the lens of a glass device of sorts. Maybe you could make a gun sight out of it to be like pew pew before they even reveal themselves.
It was Ulthen. Just so you're aware, Kailani, Ulthen.
That's a
Sorry,
cool
my
name.
journal is at your name. Oh, at your name, at your house. So I do not have my notes on me this evening.
That is a bit of an interesting point. I wonder if there is something that we could maybe fashion. I don't know of any artifacts that we might be able to help us.
These are.
Perhaps.
I'm so sorry. I did not mean to interrupt you. Please keep
No,
going.
please interrupt whenever. We're all equal here, Kalani. As much as you might hate it, there might be a mage or someone here in Shan that might be able to create such a thing, at least in our protection. Most roads seem to be leading there, unfortunately, as well.
The good news is that if my family are here, then they are not in Shan.
Perhaps
The,
haste, though we're still far from there.
the bad news is that if for any reason August survived, his family is also there.
Do you think they would be actively tracking you, though?
No, no, I don't think so. I don't know if they're those type of people. But um, vengeance is a strong emotion, and I wouldn't put it
This
past
is
anyone to, by happenstance, I don't know, if we were to be uncovered, I wouldn't put it past someone to, uh, I don't know.
I guess DM question is there, and obviously Shan is the biggest city. Is there anywhere else that I could recall that might be able to create such an item?
Plenty. You've known about many cities. Most capital cities have most likely the artificers specifically. I guess in terms of when we get to the locations, things that are close to you, none really come to mind. Thrain is Fairhaven is the nearest capital city, northeast of you. That is very religious and quite heavy on that aspect. They have clerics and priests and monks and all sorts that are that can obtain certain um, magical items. Could you roll me another history check if that's okay in terms of that?
Oh, lovely. Sorry. Where's my character sheet? Apparently I got to load it again. It was 17. I believe my history is a 5 or a 6.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that in a moment before you. Okay. Yes, a 5.
So it's what in total?
22 in total.
Okay, sorry, 22 in total. Sure. In fact, Flamekeep is the closest with your history, and Flamekeep is still a very religious centric heavy city. Uh, you're aware with that history check that many what do you call it? Many hello, go away, go silly. Many magical effects happen in the vicinity of priests and archbishops, things like that, in regard to spell casting. Casting, and most of it is casting out demons and devils from, and using that as a form of service, a monetary service. So priests go out to homes. They what's the word? They bring the soul of a demon out of. They exercise the soul of a demon out of a person. They get money for it, and then they chuff off and do something else. Some of these services are real. Some of them are fake. There are priests who don't actually do it, but they get paid to do it from legitimate orders as well. The one thing that grabs you is the fact is for the people who are legitimately doing this, the items they need are powerful. So you'd be under the impression that um, Flamekeep would definitely have artificers prepared to make very powerful items like this.
Money's not an issue. We got Ren in his gold bars.
Well, I'm running low. I've only got 3 left.
Do have another DM question though about
Mm.
Flamekeep. Then, is this somewhere that I might be welcome?
Yeah, good question. With that
Knowing
history
about
check,
it with the religion,
yeah.
knowing I'm into religion, but obviously some religions.
Yes. You are aware in your travels that Flamekeep has been avoided by tieflings. Mostly, and those who need to go into Flamekeep do so perhaps with some sort of disguise on them to try and be not noticed with having horns. Being the one thing that really does stand out most of all. It's a lot of people are very superstitious and very old school in that city and see the last war as particularly they point to tieflings and their kin as the perpetrators of the last war, and so they do shun tieflings a little. Otherwise, Shan, um, Trollenport, Corenberg in the south, which is in Zalago, but a fair bit more travel time. They might also have what you're looking for. Fairhaven, which is in Ondare, in the north, might have what you're looking for as well.
Obviously, I'm not resigning to this idea of an item that may be able to help us, but it might be a good start to outside of Shan Flamekeep, which I'm not too keen on seeing anytime soon, or on Dare. But I must admit, it's not going to take any small sum of money to be able to do this either.
Yeah. Like, why don't we just go and talk to like a House Jurasco person, or even to Orphan himself, find out where he got it.
But can I ask that if we do this, what is the ultimate plan from there? What I understand the seeing through people, that makes sense, but what is the overarching goal? Because we're still talking about a group of people that is incredibly large.
Well, I don't know. I guess that is more in your hands, but I'd probably like to know if they are around.
Yeah,
I mean, I
there's just
already got stabbed in the chest once by them.
you're lucky you even got away.
Well, yeah, so even more reason to have a way to identify them.
Yes, but also like there's no point taking step one if we're not going to take step two, three, four.
But what do you want to do?
I've been very open about what I would like to do. I would like to mostly avoid confrontation with them. I think the better first step, and don't take this as me dismissing what you're suggesting, but is figuring out the connection between the Wayfarers and the Veil, and understanding what they are to gain from the Wayfarers, because that is going to tell us A, where I can avoid, and B, what power they ultimately are trying to possess. Because that's all it's about. It's about power and stature.
I would agree, actually. It is good to have the protection, and I think this might be something we should have on the back burner, but there seems to be some, whether it's indiscriminate or not, some connection between you, Ivor, and not necessarily Kailani. Most likely not Kailani, but at least Kalani's group. So maybe understanding a bit more about what's happened there,
Ivor,
and
I
if we need
know.
to,
Sorry, fuck.
no,
I keep
continue,
I
Kalani.
keep doing that to you.
I've
Ivor,
got my
I
beans like that.
Ivor, I know that you aren't necessarily ready to be open about everything to do with the Wayfarers and your family. Um, but if there is anything that would help us understand, it might be worth sharing, no matter how uncomfortable.
I'm just trying to think. Well, I mentioned, I don't know, I mentioned that a long time ago when I first got my hat, I arrived in a village, and the family there had been, well, more of a homestead, and the family there had been slain, and there was a creeper that I thought was the ghost, but it turned out that wasn't the case. It might have been that was one of your people.
Maybe.
I shoved into a bag of holding. Maybe it was someone important. I
Did
don't
you
know.
did you ever get a name?
No, no, it was head first into the bag. I don't know. It was more of a cross the field dramatic type of confrontation, and we just kind of really got into the narrative of it pretty immediately. I don't think we exchanged names, but maybe that was it. Otherwise, though, it might just be the flow of information, power, the fact that they're everywhere. I remember after I saved the turtle, when you showed me a hallway, sort of pathway you could take between places. I know for the longest time I've been telling you that when I first appeared in your tavern, it was that I'd be there the whole time and it wasn't teleporting. But much to your surprise, much to
It
your
was
shock.
not to my surprise, Ivor. I'm not stupid. You quite literally appeared in fucking thin air.
No, I'm pretty sure I had you fooled until now. It That's how we got around. It's a sort of corridor you dip into. if that makes sense. It just takes you from spot to spot, but it's very, very costly. And the
So
cost for every
hold on.
person is different.
You're telling me that you can't generate this corridor without money.
No, not money. It's more like what's most dear to you at that time.
But you can't generate it without producing that.
No.
Can I roll insight on that, please?
Yeah, sure.
Trying to understand if the magic of this fucking corridor is generated by some sort of piece of your soul or like monetary bullshit, or whether Ivor's just gatekeeping. um, that is a 19.
A 19. Okay. Uh, it's interesting. The description and what I was sort of saying. Um, it's it seems absolute. It seems like from what you've heard is what I guess in terms of wayfarers and your own minor, you're piecing together information that Ivor's given you and minor information you gained from other sources, word of mouth mostly. The So far it seems accurate. In order to produce somewhere to go that is quite a quick act and quite a quick point from it could be one side of the world to another. The recipient has to think of and has to produce, but per the policy, per the rules written by the wayfarers, an item or something of worth to itself. It could be a farmstead. It could be their own home. It could be. It has to be something that they own, something with unpassable value. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be money, but that then becomes the property of the wayfarers, and that's how the wayfarers grow. They own not multitude. This service is not something that happens often at all. But from what Ivor has been saying, unless you'd like to pitch in something here, Ivor.
No, that's pretty much how it works. It's super
Yeah,
simple. That which is of the greatest value to you.
yeah. Also, it is 10 gold. Regardless, there is
Oh
10
yeah.
gold pieces on top of this
Just
thing
for
of unpassable value.
that's
As
What do
sort
you
of a
mean?
little.
10 gold?
yeah. I need paper and whatnot, and also time. It takes time.
Wait,
So the 10
how
for
much
that
did you how much did you pay, Rin?
Yeah, like 10,000 gold.
because that was
So
of greatest value to him at the time. But for you, it could be something else. It might not be gold at all.
Oh, you got fucked, Rin. You got absolutely
No,
fucked over.
no. It was what was of most value to him. It could be he had something else with him at that time.
This sounds like a scam or some sort of MLM or pyramid scheme. This is horrible.
In my brain, is
Yeah,
there
it was
many
like
orphans that are a part of the Wayfarers?
Yeah,
orphans.
heaps and heaps.
Yeah, are you giving up babies
No,
to the
we're not
value of?
doing them. We're just finding them about the place and recruiting. Come on, man.
Okay,
he
We're,
made
we're
me
not
No,
like
doing.
we're
he
not
made
gonna
me
do
like
that. We're not gonna
No,
do that. That's
it's
not
super
what we're gonna
simple.
do
It's
today.
super simple how it works. What we do, it's like, say, for example, you are a great painter. You're the best painter ever, and you put your heart and soul into one painting. You think it's the best painting ever, and there's nothing you treasure more than that painting. That's the cost. Or maybe you're like a farmer and you spend your whole time on some farm, farming away, doing farm stuff, pigs and whatnot.
So you would
That's
take
the cost.
someone's farm.
No, well,
It,
yeah.
it's to
Yeah,
Ivor's
big
point
piece of
and
magic.
what you've
Who the fuck
learned.
is talking
It's
right
if
now?
it's if that person needed to get away from that moment in time, that place, as soon as possible, their life was at stake or their family was in danger, that would be the cost of that service.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm just morally
Oh,
questioning him.
sure. Sorry. Okay, cool. Cool.
I don't write the
I'm
policy.
going to look at Rin a bit weirdly after the comment of 10 because he has no conception of money. Like, how is that more important to you? But anyway,
It made me go buy 10,000 golds worth of gift cards.
yeah.
My point being, there has to be something that the Wayfarers are aware of that the Veil takes interest in. It may be a particular piece of information, it may be a whole plethora, it may be a person, it may be something, but there is something within there. And judging on your past, Ivor, I think you might know.
No, I mean,
Ivor, now is not the time to be this way.
okay. I'm
No.
looking sheepish and looking coy. I'm going to turn to the other two. I'm going to explain. So, look, during the last Great War, right? You know how there were two sides, and there was the 7 and the 12 and all that, and then on the other side there were some other guys. Not all of
Did you
which
say the 7?
the 5. Oh, that's right. It was a long. Come on, it was like a long time ago. The 5. That's right. And they anyway, there was that team, and then there was other people who maybe were employed elsewhere on the not winning side. And maybe some of the Wayfarers from back in the day finished the war after having been on that side, but needed, other employment post-war.
Yeah.
So Lila says, so the Wayfarers were fighting for who?
Some of us maybe were from houses that were aligned with Malestra. And maybe after the defeat, when we were all scattered across the Mournlands, right at the beginning, only a couple of us, myself included, maybe we were the beginnings of that. So maybe the beginnings of the Wayfarers are the remnants of those last few houses. But we're not really about that anymore.
So hear me out. Some of you from the Wayfarers are invested in Malestra. Terrible person.
No,
Or
not
were,
like that. We
or
were
were,
not super invested.
but aligned.
Yeah, definitely aligned.
Yes, which means investment. You don't align with something you don't invest in. My point being, however you
I,
want to try and spin it,
I
because
don't think
you
you've ever
can
been
only
you just kind of
you
go where you order.
you can only speak for yourself, Ivor. You can't speak for the rest of your people. But my point being is that if the Wayfarers have aligned themselves at some point in time with Malestra,
No, it
and
wasn't. It was before the Wayfarers. Just that
yes,
before there
but
were any
that
Wayfarers.
bleeds into what the Wayfarers become, Ivor. Even if there is one person that's like yourself who started siding with Malestra and made their way into the Wayfarers, right? Who are the most powerful archmages in Corvair at the moment? The 12, right? Who is
I
the
think it goes
only
me and then Lila, but
who
sure.
is the only person that has ever defeated 11 of the 12?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And if the veil is all about ultimate power, I dare say if they can find out any information or further about Malestra or subsequently anyone that had anything to do with her, it's a good fucking source of power and influence, is it not?
Okay, yes, but while
So,
that
my
tracks,
point
it's very
is
nice.
that maybe that is the connection with Malestra. Because are we convinced that she's dead? I can't remember. Michaela, are we convinced that she's dead?
I'm pretty sure we think she's dead.
I mean, you can have your own opinions about it, but if
Based on
those
what
who would like
history
to
tells
make,
us.
yeah, if you can, without needing to roll history checks, because it's been the word on the street for ever since you all were quite young. Molester was defeated. She has her body burnt and never specifically recovered. But a burnt body means a dead one. So, as far as you're all aware, yes, that's each of you have the same story in your minds, which is comforting. You know, it's a little bit riskier, a little bit more worrying if you had all heard different things and nothing was sort of cemented.
Do we know
Well,
of
we can.
anyone directly related either by like close association, like I don't know, friends or even fucking blood that would be directly related to Molestra that live amongst Corvair currently?
That will need a separate history check.
Cool, let's go.
I'm instantly in conspiracy theory mode. Because if
Cool.
I've seen Lila's mum get exploded and then reset it back into another body or her same body
Mm-hmm.
somewhere else, it would be within the realm of possibility that.
Oh, sure, I see.
Carrizo did tell us about her going into the body of a young girl, her soul.
In this campaign?
Yeah, like 2 or 3 episodes ago,
Mm-hmm.
whenever we were in the
Oh,
tower.
really? I might not have been there.
On top of that, that was a natural 20 for my history check for a total of 20, but it's a natural 20. If that means
Cool.
anything.
Yeah, it does. So anyone who had any affiliation with Malestra had been hunted down and destroyed,
Hot.
as in anyone. This was a difficult but wholehearted decision that was agreed upon by the laws of the lands in a meeting shortly after the war, where all of her allies were essentially going to be hunted down and destroyed. Any of her family members.
Fuck, that's cool.
There was actually no mercy for the
Oh,
innocent and the guilty.
excellent.
It was a complete wipeout.
Especially
Being
Keegan.
a
Wipe out.
being a tiefling, am I aware of any of those events and the connection to them, or is just the tieflings are getting hunted?
So you're trying to specifically think of
When I
anything to
was
do with Malestra or just tieflings in general?
supposedly when I was younger and the armies, well, not necessarily just the armies, but people hunting down tieflings and indiscriminately. Would I know that was the connection, or?
No, that was a separate thing. This was specifically to do with Malestra. The demons and devils were a separate part of the war, essentially. So that wasn't a So that wasn't there wasn't a connection there.
Okay.
So Lila says there's definitely stories of Malestra being burnt and her body not being recovered. Certainly, that always will feed into rumor about the Narc Mage surviving such an event. We hope that didn't happen, obviously.
So, okay. They hunted down everyone that she was associated with, but obviously they didn't hunt down the Wayfarers, or they would not be, or at least some of the Wayfarers that slipped through the cracks, Ivor.
That's
Otherwise,
not look at all my companions. Everyone.
Say again.
I said that's because nobody told on us and everybody kept it secret. And I look at each of my companions
Okay,
pointedly.
but again, without bringing Farizo back into this, he is the only person that has directly met and associated with Molestra. So I think if you want, and you likely all don't, but if you want my opinion, I think that is an obvious connection. We may not even need to go to the Wayfarers. We should go to Farizo. Because if there's any indication that there could still be followers or associates out there and the Veil are trying to get hold of them, I think I may not necessarily be his biggest fan either, Ivor, after the way he fucking treated me, but he is powerful. No one can question that.
I guess, and excuse the horns if I can play devil's advocate, do we totally trust Farizo? I know he has been helpful, but he's also, I mean, all of the 12 have been odd. Everything we've seen since the coffins,
And
the
we haven't
towers.
been odd.
I feel like we've been more forthright than they have.
I'd say we've been charming and intriguing. I wouldn't say odd.
Well, charisma can be a kaleidoscope, I guess.
I am certainly not very charismatic, and yet here the fuck I am. But I don't know. I don't have other ideas.
Well, I was going to.
Some ways better. Sorry, Red.
Oh, you're all right. I was going to offer this to you at once this conversation ended anyway, but I guess it's might even be a bit poignant given the recent inquiries. So Locke and I stayed up the other night and identified a whole bunch of shit I'd been stealing off everyone. And that necklace that I took off Nature and Rose, one of the bits of glass in there is actually a spell shard. So it records information like up to like a book's worth. So it also acts as like a spell book for you type. And I'm looking at Ivor and Lila. God, I'd offer it to you, Lila, but your spell book looks all like neat and tidy, and Ivor's is just like random pages, so it's probably benefit him more. But it might also have information from Nature Rose already in it if she's been using it. So it comes with like a passphrase. So I don't know if you know bits and pieces of her past or something that might be like a password to open it.
I feel like 99% of passwords in the world are just method.
What's wrong with this?
It's
What
like
type of method?
Look, I know that I can't really read properly, but like I don't even think if I could read, I'd be able to read that.
I pull out
Very messy.
I pull out my stack of notes with a belt around it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a system to this. This is accumulated wisdom.
Could be difficult. You need a sending address and password.
Well, I'll pull out the necklace. I guess it's like the equivalent of a CD wallet and to an iPod. Yeah, this basically does the same thing, but more compact. But I don't know. It can store a lot of information, so she might even have, like secret 12 information already in there.
I'll say thank you. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. I'll take it, and I'll say, how do you input the password?
I don't know. You're the wizard. That's
Yes.
why I'm giving it to you. Maybe you and Lila could like put your heads together and be like, I know Mathan and Rose apparently had like a sordid history and may not have always been a good person. So maybe something to do with that is a password or something. Maybe she regrets like killing someone. She did mention that she had killed people, not for like just because they were in her way.
Yeah,
Maybe you can pry into that information somehow.
I don't know, but yes, but if I was going to choose a password, I wouldn't pick the name of some guy I killed randomly that I regret.
Yeah, but not everyone is just like an
Yeah,
uncaring
totally wouldn't do that.
psychopath like you.
I don't know. I picked like three that good
Rachel
done.
Rose seems to have like turned her corner and is now trying to do the right thing according to Frieza. These are just suggestions. It's your thing now. You should probably also like maybe pop the spell shard out of the necklace so it doesn't look like hers.
Can I have a look at it? Is it possible to do that without breaking it?
Do what? Sorry.
Take the spell shard out of the necklace, or is that something
You
that
can make an investigation check or an arcana check, one of the two, to find out how delicate or durable this is to separate such a magical piece.
I will pick Arcana. That is a 12.
Okay. Looking at it, it looks fragile. You sort of move it around in your fingers, and you see the make is minute. Someone must have used tiny, tiny tools to bring the shard into this clear glass or clear crystal. To undo it would take a master work, a master in the arcane arts, at least someone with again very specific skills in the um, just trinket work, or a jewel or something to that effect to try and manipulate it. You don't think you could do it successfully, no.
Like,
However, with that role, you do understand that you to input the password, you simply need to focus your arcane energy at or just focus on the item itself and speak what you believe the password to be, and there will be some indication of some kind as to its success. That's a mute.
my bad. I'm going to wrap it around my wrist, and I'm going
Mhm.
to kind of leave it so that the spell shard part is hanging out. But I'll then kind of draw my glove up over the top of it so it's concealed, and I'll turn and say, "I'm definitely going to break this if I try and take this small gem out." And then I'll hold it up to my near where my mouth is, and I'll say, "The password is password."
Okay. As you look closely at this thing to try and understand it's just there. It's unmoved, and there's no shiver up your spine, up your neck to indicate success. No lights or sound or revealing of this thing.
The password is password 123.
Still no success, unfortunately.
This is
I
going to
don't
take a
know.
while.
Lila, do you know much about Rachel and Rose? Does she have like children or a husband or something?
Yeah, good question. I know she does. She has dalliances. There are certain people that she um, has been in a relationship with in the past. Sort of in the past she's been known to hop from one person to another. If you get my meaning, uh,
So
uh,
I guess it's
she has
more secure if you change your password every now and then.
well, yes, that's also very true. Yes, sometimes it's necessary by the item. Um, the I don't know. She it's a poorly kept secret as to who her next interest or love is, but um, yeah, I understand it's been some time since she's had a relationship or someone. She doesn't have any children.
Yeah, she
She
wrote a
doesn't.
love letter. I told you all about it. It's in the fucking book I gave Locke. I mean, yeah, Locke. That's his name. I told you all about it. Truly, some time ago. It's very obvious that no one listens to me, though, so that's fine.
No, of course, but what? Who to whom?
Locke has the book now, so why don't you just ask him?
I
I think
would, but he's gone. He's gone to get another beer. It seems.
Okay, well then
Um,
rummage through his things. Who cares?
she, she she looks at you and says, "Well, that is the
It's my
permission I
book
need."
anyway.
She grabs it out and opens up to the letter. Uh, Dried Ron.
I hold it up and I say that again, and I hold the pendant up so it can hear her.
I go for one moment and you're rummaging through my things. Come on.
Well, to be fair, it's my book.
Still, a man's rucksack is a man's rucksack.
It's drawn.
Drawn.
As you say, drawn. You you feel a little for a moment blinded, just as a bright light in this uh, in the crystal glows, and it takes you off guard a little that you have to avert your gaze, and a slight sound, almost musical, reaches your ears, only yours, and it's one of a beautiful voice singing in an opera of some kind that you don't understand the words for. Um, but you hear two distinct words that are in common that whisper to you, and it simply comes across as my story, and the locket opens. It
I look at the card.
slides across the crystal slides across the gold.
Holy shit, that was brilliant. This thing has her story in it. Is there like a play for all option?
No.
Like is there like a speaker I can hit? Um,
So you see instead there seems to you feel and see almost a blur behind your eyes as though you're in a dream. This younger Mistress Rose in another life. For an instant, everything floods into your memory, and it's her past. Can you roll a wisdom saving throw for me, please?
yes.
Can I
You doing?
cantrip him?
Can you
Ah,
cantrip
sorry,
me?
guidance him.
Uh,
Okay.
to do that, you'd probably want to make an insight check to see if there's something going on because it's very subtle. Make an insight check, and then you can see.
What happens if I know if Ivor's dumb? Just
You
instinctively.
have double advantage. No.
uh, you know what? Why not? Insight is. Oh wow. 9 and a 6 is 15.
15? 15, you don't notice anything outwardly, no. Ivor does seem to be just stopped for a moment as though he looks like he's concentrating on this locket. What
Can
did you get for your roll?
I rolled a 17 on that wisdom saving check?
Okay. You feel yourself almost completely forgetting who you were. And for a second, you were standing on the edge of a cliff, looking down, and you look down at your hands, and they're not your hands. They were that of a woman. And you smell this spearmint in the air. And you look behind you as trees blow hard against the wind, overlooking a beach and a coastline. But then you shake that, and then you are yourself again in the room.
Can I roll some kind of check to commit that what I just experienced to memory as vividly as possible?
You can do it as normal. You don't need a roll. You have that there.
Wonderful. I'm going to turn to my companion and say, that's going to be very hard to quantify what I just experienced. So instead, I'm going to cast Silent Image and do my best to share with them visually what I just
Yeah, cool.
experienced, so they see it
Sure.
from my perspective.
Okay, and with that in front of you, you all see a depiction that's only the size of Lego pieces in a hand, small blocks in size. Though there's one more aspect to this that even you initially forgot for but a moment, Ivor, and that's what you were looking towards. And it was a majestic sight. Shadows of dragon wings are flying towards you, and these are reds and blues and greens and white. It was an army of dragons. And though you couldn't quite tell, there was a figure riding the center and the largest of these drakes. But the memory faded as you came back to the room as to whom that was. You couldn't tell at all. It's as though you were expecting them. Your feeling in that moment was one of expectation. They were invited.
I'll point to the image that's floating in front of my companions. I'll say, whoever that was, and whoever I am, I know that person. I'm familiar with them. That's.
And
I'll
who may
turn
they
back.
be?
I'll turn back to my companion and say, this is also a very nifty way to use this spell. I'm going to go watch some plays and then play them back later on, I guess.
Lila says, I'm not aware of if you're looking through the eyes of Mistress Rose, there's no such information that I know of that would have her meet with dragons. In
I mean,
fact,
we should, one of the
dragons
12.
were well. You did just look through her memory, didn't you?
Yeah, but we know she's one of the 12, and the 12 are keeping a whole family of dragons hostages.
Perhaps she doesn't even know about it. It could be that they are in cahoots, or it could be that she's doing something that the normal the population isn't aware of. And look, to be fair, they don't know much about and what their comings and goings are. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was some other dealing. But just we need to keep our minds open about this, not
Are
come to any
dragons
conclusions.
are dragons common these
Not
days?
since not really no, and especially not since the last war. They had, for the most part, retreated back to their home, their island off Corvair.
Do we know where that island is?
Specifically, no. But
Um,
there are still being sightings, a few times over the last 80 years, that have been verified. So there are some dragons who chose to, live still in Corvair even after a lot of their kind were killed during a battle which they were sort of almost forced into.
is there any dragons that we know about that not hostile to just
Um,
common?
so, do you know of any dragons who are not hostile?
And yeah, that would. I don't know. I'm trying to. Yeah, any dragons that might be willing for an audience of
Oh,
people?
I see. Oh, sure. Make yourself another make yourself another history check for me, please. This is a different topic.
10, 5 and a 5.
5 and a 5. You can't remember the name, but there is and with that roll, I'm sorry to say you don't even remember where this particular dragon does take audience, but there is a story of farmers who had their crops burnt by some sort of creature. This dragon was actually quite generous and helped these farmers uncover the culprit and drag them into his lair and um, punish them essentially for damaging and destroying crops of these innocent farmers. Um, the most you can remember, it was either a bronze or a copper dragon. So yes, there is every now and again a dragon that speaks openly with the population, but very rare.
Yeah, okay. If I know that, I probably won't say anything.
So Lila says, "Well, what do we do with this information now? What do we do with Matron Rose's whatever information she wanted to keep in here? I can try and decipher it and try and uncover some of the intricacies, specific stories that might be of interest in relation to what we're doing. It might take time."
I'll unwrap it from around my wrist and hand it over. I think you might be better suited to diving through these memories than I am.
The other thing that I would suggest is that, selfishly, I don't think we should stay here, and I don't particularly want to be here anymore. So I think we keep moving.
I would agree, actually.
That being said,
Yeah.
Ivor, this is, I don't want to run away from your people and your home. So if you would like to stay, we can maybe figure something out.
Should we check in on the surrounding area and what's actually taking place? Spend a day and then leave?
Yeah,
can
I
do
think
that.
the best way I can be of service to the Wayfarers is by finding out more.
We've burnt a bit of time here. I think I've had 2 bowls of beans. So I guess then from here we head to the sorting facility.
Distribution center.
Yes.
Mm.
Or do you want to head to the graveyard?
Not the graveyard.
I guess
That's
then the
my
sorting.
opinion. Otherwise we can split up. We can do 2 and 2, or
No,
2
I
and
think
3.
just the distribution center. I don't think there's anything. I think whatever corpses are there would be turned to nothing but ash by now. There's not really much to find out there.
If your brain tickles you enough, I can go investigate the graveyard.
We also are aware that their organs were like being taken from them. So likely what we're to find is corpses without fucking organs in them. Like, I don't want to see that.
Do you
Lila
think this is
says,
suspiciously similar to the 12?
"That's what I want to find out, actually. That is a weird connection, is that one moment they're dead and the other they're alive. We've seen that once before. I'll go to the graveyard with
I
you if no
don't
one else
know if
will."
that's the case though. Like, it might not be the case. It might just be that they are dead and they're changelings now.
Well, let's see if they're still there.
Okay,
That's
well,
that's.
I will
I'm
take
happy to go.
Ivor to the distribution center then, and you guys can go to the graveyard.
What do you want to do, Rin?
Well, yeah, I was kind of wondering if I was a time traveling shifter. So I guess the graveyard might help me figure that out.
I'm sure you aren't, but I'm sure you are powerful in your own right.
Well, you don't need to dismiss me that quickly. I have this ghost cloak. Locke, do you want to identify this ghost cloak?
Oh, the ghost cloak. of course.
And
Oh,
Nexus cloak.
I'll look at Kalani. I definitely can. Perhaps I'll prioritize Nix's cloak first.
I don't care.
Still, might help us. Uh, and I guess depending on what we're going to do, um, I'll need 20 minutes to be able to do that.
I mean, I don't care. You don't have to do it now. If I hold on to them, they're just cloaks. If you look at them, they might become something later.
All right.
If we are to head to the distribution center, Ivor, and there are likely changelings around, and Nyx has now seen what I look like, I should not stay in this form. And for that reason, usually I would not care about calling me my name because I have never used a fake one. Um, but maybe just don't address me by name.
What should I call you?
Just don't. Just speak to me without saying my name.
Okay. I start smiling.
And then I'll just I'll take a moment. Not a drastic transformation, still a human. I'm just gonna make my hair color blonde. Uh, make myself slightly taller. And uh, that's it. That's all I'll do. Paler skin
I see
tone.
that change before you. Hmm.
In case we rendezvous a little bit quicker, which I hope we do. What name are you choosing?
No, just don't call me a name. It's like you don't always have to be like, "Hi, Kalani." You can just say hi.
What if
It's
we're
a,
out and somebody asks you
it's
what
a
your name is?
boss.
Then I say none of your business.
That's
In
just
fact,
setting
I don't
yourself up.
actually even need to use this voice anymore.
All right. So we are splitting up then.
Sounds like it.
Lila says, I'll go with you, Locke, and you, Rin, to the graveyard, and Annalise, Ivor, and Kailani can go back to the distribution center.
Where will we meet afterwards?
Whichever one starts the biggest fire.
Gotcha. Okay.
Why don't
Let's
we
head
just
towards the
meet back
front
here
gate,
in like an hour?
or back here.
Sure.
Yeah,
Back
I think
here.
Fantastic.
we won't need much time, I think, for this. Let's keep this quick and then move on from there.
Yes.
All right. And as you finish your breakfast and split off, we'll take a 10-minute break there and see about what it looks like after the break. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, watching, lurking. Really appreciate it. And if you're ready to go, Emily, we'll
Yes.
see everyone in 10 minutes. See you soon.
Hey, my mic is back and no one else's is. Ha ha ha. I'm going to keep them silent for the rest of the night. Welcome to the Emily stream. I'd like to introduce you to my emotional support pigeon. That's all I have. I'm making your mics live now. You guys should be good.
Oh, thanks.
Hello,
Nice.
Noppy.
Welcome.
I can't believe you
Kels.
taxidermied that pigeon.
Pardon?
I can't believe you taxidermied a pigeon. That's cool.
No, this is from MVC and D20 and
I know.
Promethean, and
That
it's
was a lovely
still
moment.
got
That was very
MVC's
sweet. That
face
was
on it.
awesome.
It's
Yeah.
still on there. It's just really faded, and it's still stuck there, and it still says, I
Was
don't
that
even remember what it says.
PAX 2022, was
That was our first
it?
PAX, yeah.
Yeah.
It says, fuck, give us, it doesn't say fuck. It says, give us the lotion recipe or Amara dies. Oh, wait, the 6th. Joke's on you all. She's not dead. Eat shit. Oh, how times
Yeah.
have changed. Anyway, back to you, Michaela.
All right. So, as you all, well, there are two groups that go off in their separate ways. I'll seek out the people who are going to the distribution center first. So, Kailani, Ivor, and Annalise. You with yes, you three are heading towards the distribution center. It's a bright, cool day. There are, generally speaking, curious onlookers more than anything else out at the moment. It's you overhear talk of curfew and mystery surrounding the fire, and generally just an overarching foreboding that seems to be on people's lips at the moment. Um, the air
Good
is
night, Ash.
unusually sorry.
Good night, Ash.
Oh, um, you generally speaking, a it's a morning that doesn't feel very comfortable to you. You have to bring the cloaks over your shoulders a little more. People look at you as though you're the reason why there's this trouble. They look at you suspiciously as people who they may just not recognize as being in the town for long or at all. And you three head up towards the distribution center. You see the one person that is out there that looks like they are inspecting at least the outside of this place, Renly. She's actively speaking with guards. She's pointing in some directions in and out. You can see the doors to the distribution center open. No smoke anymore is coming from the inside. You can see from the outside, though, looking in a dark room, a dark, massive room that you've been in before, but one that looks like it's more blackened than brown. You can see books that are burnt. You can see pieces of paper still looking like they've got little bits of cinder on them, little red glow, or little red glow. It's and people look fairly downtrodden as they're walking around picking up this mess, trying to reorganize, salvage whatever they can. Renly looks, as is her role, she looks upbeat. She's encouraging people. She's giving everyone a pat on the shoulder. She's handing out what looks to be little flasks of water, little biscuits. She's trying to be the motivator here. She doesn't seem to notice you as you approach.
I'm going to turn to Kailani and say, is there any way you can... I mean, Renly's still Renly, right?
I mean, I can try and figure out if she's not, but it would be the same as you trying to figure it out.
I know that, I know we don't have the true sight, but is there... I don't know. I thought maybe there was like a tell.
Is there like a question that you could ask her that only she would know?
Hmm.
Like a memory that's maybe just between the two of you?
Sure. I'm going
That would be my
to.
suggestion. But keep in mind, if my people are anything to reference, it is that if it was one of them, there are things that people will divulge under pressure.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna walk over to her and kind of just wait until she notices me.
Okay. You can only get so far. You're about 10 feet away from her. She looks up at you and gives you this unsmiling nod in greeting. Um, she then says, are you well? Are you helping, or do you have other agendas?"
I came here to see the extent of the damage before. I said before we leave.
It's probably a good idea that you don't stay, and we don't know how much danger or threat the wayfarers are here. Better that they're scattered, and for the most part, we don't know where most of them are. The magic of the letters do. So, what brings you here? Just figuring out what's next.
Just wanting to say goodbye and see some of what was done here. I look into
As you can,
the building. Was there anything, was it just carnage or were they after something in particular?
so far, the investigators here haven't given us too much to go on. Uh, the outside is burnt. You can see that a lot of the structural damage is repairable, but expensive. You'll see, and she starts to walk you around the outside of the building, and she shows you bits and pieces. She shows you large bits of timber. Um, she shows you that are burnt and bits that are essentially holes in the wall that have been burnt away as well. She says most of the outside had saved the inside. The fire only was entered in one or two of the weaker spots that we just weren't aware of. Nothing was taken. Nothing was targeted. It seems there is an unknown factor here. A new piece of parchment has been added to uh, the pile of burnt out ash that used to be the books. Here's one of them, and they seem to be scattered all throughout the building. And it just says, and she hands you one of these pieces of parchment. It's a plain brown piece of parchment with, in red ink, it seems, the words "the summoning." Renly continues, and she says, "Perhaps they were trying to use our services to get this out to someone."
Yeah, but when why not
But
just that doesn't make any sense. Why do it like this? Why not just drop them in a hat?
speed, perhaps they weren't as privy to the magic of the hats.
I'm just
Well,
going to
only we
observe,
should know it.
and all it says is the summoning.
That's all it says. And she puts her hands out, and then it sort of gestures towards the inside, and she says, "Almost every bookshelf has one of these pieces of paper, almost the same writing, not exact, um, stuck as though someone deliberately went in and put these pieces of parchment in. Why they need to do so many, I don't know. It's as though they're calling out for something, someone, people. I don't know."
I'm going to turn back towards Kailani. I say, "This is my friend."
Nice
I'm
to meet you.
Chloe.
Nice to meet you, Chloe. I'm Renly. I'm uh, somewhat in charge of, unwittingly in charge of this mess. welcome to the Wayfarers. What was our distribution center? We didn't lose much at all, thankfully. A lot of things can be remembered by the memorialists and recreated. That team know much, and they can retell and rewrite.
Do you mind? I'm going to turn to her and say, "Is there anything you'd have us do before we go? Otherwise, I just want to look a bit deeper here."
No, you're welcome to go in. Try not to step on anything that says evidence on it, though. These investigators here are actually quite thorough in what they're trying to
They
do.
just mark it as
In terms
evidence.
of
They
what
just write evidence on top of it. That's what they do. They just put a thing down and it says evidence.
they'll go back to it and collect it when they
Right.
see if there's any intent, or was there, if there was any intent with anything else in there. Then they'll pick it up afterwards. They've started doing that already, actually, in one of the parts towards the entrance on the other side. For you to do, I guess maybe because you're heading off anyway in your travels, just look out for the others.
I have
Make
a
sure
question
that
for you. I don't know the Wayfarers very well at all. But I do have a question. Is there anyone within your organization that's been acting like strange, abnormal, maybe not like themselves recently?
you're asking Renly.
Hmm.
Renly shakes her head and she says, "Not that I'm aware of. Everyone that's come back, at least, or who I've contacted via message or sending, they've all acted or spoken back as themselves. I'd have to have them here to really understand if there's anything amiss. And I don't have much magic to go on, even if they were here. So
No one said
I'm not
anything to
sure.
you that's just a little bit like, I don't know, off? Doesn't make sense.
Has anyone been
Um,
snooping about where they shouldn't be? Someone looking at things that are above their station, or trying to do work that they wouldn't normally do. Look at things they wouldn't have any cause to look at.
um, I've, I've, there's not really. I truly, I know Dylan was here some weeks back, and I mean, he's
Sorry, one moment. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can hear you.
to continue. No, Renly was here. Sorry, not Renly. Dylan was here some time ago, and he was looking in a particular section that was seemingly for Korth. When I asked him about it, he was a little off. He didn't really have any particular answers to those questions. Why he was here or not. You all right?
Someone has just hacked our fucking Bluetooth speaker. What the fuck?
Pretty sure that's ghosts.
Pretty sure it's ghosts.
Like 99% sure that's ghosts.
Oh my
Yeah,
god, hold on.
pretty.
I'm gonna. I totally have a blanket that I've been wrapping around myself. I'm gonna mute myself and walk away for a sec. That's fucking scary.
While they look after these ghosts, because Locke would also have gone with the other group, which would have been Lila as well. We'll just wait a minute. I
Thanks
would
for
have
that,
been
Tyler.
putting the
Huh?
oh your microphone's still on, Ben, if in case.
Yeah, Ben does that.
This is so funny. I can see Emily in two of the frames. It's great.
gonna find the ghost. You're gonna find the
If
ghost.
anyone wants to be updated with our ghost situation, yeah, the speaker just turned itself on for a couple of moments, and the two cats are sleeping on the bed. No idea why it started, and then stopped out of the blue.
No. So the light that I use behind me is also a Bluetooth speaker.
Oh right, I
Which is
thought it was
why
the
I
other one.
absolutely shat myself when it happened. I was like, so there'll be no blue light behind me anymore. Holy
I
shit.
thought it was I thought it was the AirPod Mini because I could hear that as
No,
well.
that's why I got so
Right.
scared. It fucking jump scared me. Anyway, keep
Interruption
going.
over. Continue. Yeah.
That's me. Welcome back. Hopefully all is good. That's all good. She said, yeah, Dylan seemed a little defensive about why he wanted some information about course, but otherwise it seemed he seemed the most unlikely or the unwilling to answer questions about his next journeys. That's all. You haven't run into Dylan at all, did you?
Yes, he was the one who told us to take off the Wayfarer garb.
Oh, right. Take it off.
Yeah, hide the hat, take off the cloak.
That's odd. No, I didn't send any instructions for this.
We saw him in a tavern. He said, "Don't look like a Wayfarer."
That's certainly strange. I'd never want you to not look like a wayfarer.
He
That's
said it was for our own protection. He said it was
I,
your orders.
well, perhaps he has some answering to, or some. Perhaps we should ask him a little bit about that if we run into him again. I'll try and summon him back to Avaroth as soon as we can, because that is certainly a strange request.
Hmm.
Any other things that he said that might have caused a bit of concern?
Such a long time ago. I'm trying to think.
It was not such a long time ago. It's like yesterday.
Feels like a long time ago after all the events that have come by.
If not, that's okay. Keep thinking, but if you run into him again, I'd be interested to know. Send him to me. I'll be interested to know what he meant by this. It's certainly not our code.
Who does like Dylan hang out with usually in the Wayfarers?
No one. He's well. I know he used to be a little close to you, Ivor, a little. Um, there's another person, Firth, who perhaps has some relationship, but that's about it, really. Anyone else you would know, Ivor?
No, I mean he was always very standoffish. He was just some sellsword we ran into
He's
very
not
early
into
on in the
like
day.
into anything
Um,
you know,
he,
yeah, like illegal, like or against I
no,
don't
not
know.
at
He's
all.
not like, he doesn't try to summon demons or do anything
No,
strange like worship people that you shouldn't worship.
No, he and Brennan actually were the ones that came out of the fog together, weren't they? Ivor, way back when.
no,
Brennan, the elderly wizard.
just
Um,
a wizard and a sellsword we ran into on the road, and they've just been
yeah.
with us since then. That's it.
So
We
perhaps
never.
Brannon has more to say if you can
We're on the
find where he
road.
is.
I mean, we can have a. I can look for him, but
No, like where in the road
Hmm.
did you run into them?
along the border of the Mournlands, the border closest to the Maror Hold, heading north.
Interesting.
Maybe the location does have something to say about it, but I'd be more interested to find either Braddon or Dylan. I'll send some teams out to see what they can find. Whether they have anything to do with this, they weren't here, so it's difficult to tell if they had anything to do with it. Anyway,
I don't think
in
they would
terms
have
of
been.
that, just that
Do you
is just
know?
the only task I can offer to you if you can find either Dylan or Brandon or both and send them to me or ask your own questions of them.
But do you know how old? Do you know where Brennan is now? He wouldn't have been wasn't traveling with Dylan. Do you know where he was
No,
last?
they had a little. I heard last they had a little fight about something, and then they went their separate ways. I'm not sure what.
Hey,
How
random
long ago?
question, throwaway question. Don't think too deeply about it. You don't, happen to be a worshipper of Molester at all, do you?
Renly pauses for a moment and says, "No."
Okay.
What I'm not quite sure from where that question arose, but that's, if I may say so, Ivor, your friend perhaps steps a little over the line here with
Yes.
these
I am
odd
so
questions.
I'm so new to this. I've lived, out in the forest for a really long time. And I'm just not used to I never heard of the 12 or anything like that. It's really crazy. So, I'm just trying to understand this universe.
That's why they call her Chloe, the forest gremlin. Yeah, she's remarkably well informed in this one regard. But don't worry, you can.
No, I've heard about the Fariso guy, but people don't seem to like him as much.
Yeah, he he does suck.
Yeah, so like you don't like her?
As in what? I don't
No,
like
No,
chorizo.
no, what?
Oh right.
Okay, no, that's cool. That's good to know. I've heard it's really bad for you if you do, so that makes sense. Cool, good to know.
Renly looks at you over and she says, "You should be teaching your friends uh, a little bit about the history of this world if she's not from around here. And speaking that name anyway can have some ill consequences to her stay,
Yes,
not
it's
just to
Good.
me."
It's knowledge I will carry with me into the ends of time.
all right. Well, Renly, I'll say farewell then, unless there's anything else you have of me. But I'll have a look around and see the things that have been already been labeled evidence, which is very convenient.
I leave this place
Just
smarter and
continue.
more well informed. Thank you.
Just continue your service to the wayfarers, as you have been. Thank you, and I'll keep the coin that you've earned when you return, so I can distribute that to you. But thank you.
Okay, getting paid when I come back. That's fine. And I'll head on in to have a bit of a closer look at the husk of the building.
Okay, you can make yourself some investigation checks if you'd like as you walk into the room.
Will he get advantage because I'm helping him?
It'll either be you investigating yourself, Ivor, with advantage, or you take separate roles without advantage.
You can have advantage. I think I would trust that you know this place better than I do.
And yet we'll see. Okay, so I'm rolling a investigation.
Yeah. Well, just before you roll, what are you looking for?
So what I'm
Anything
looking
else?
for is basically. So obviously, I'm going to see what's already been marked as evidence by the investigators,
Mm.
and I want to pay particular attention to basically anything they missed. So I'm trying
Mm.
to see anything that looks like it's been rifled through, anything that looks like it's had particular attention to it. So maybe looking at what hasn't been destroyed.
Yeah.
And I want to maybe pay attention for some more of those scrolls that are around the place. Are they in a pattern? Is this some kind of weird spell that they're components of? That sort of thing.
Okay. Yep, go for it.
Cool. That is an 18 plus 2 for 20.
All right. As you both find your way through this rubble, a lot of it is burnt out husks of shells. Most of
Did you
the
say
damage seems to
corn?
have been happening on. Huh?
Did you say corn?
Uh, did I? No, I didn't. I said I don't know
You
what I
said
said.
most of
Torn.
it is
Um,
corn.
torn.
Okay,
Torn.
excellent.
Definitely torn. A lot of these pages have been torn by fire. A lot of these, the right-hand side of the building is the one that's been the most damaged. A lot of shelves look like they've been burnt and collapsed on each other. So a lot of piles of books. Nowhere specific, though, that you can tell. There's nowhere specifically, like Renly said, that has been targeted definitively. You notice that where there's evidence, wherever there's the note or the summoning on these little bits of paper, the evidence like little piece of paper has been attached to it. You also notice that the front desk seems to have have whatever ruckus or blood splatter are on the floor. There's that of the previous evenings fighting that you know about, that your companions were a part of. You also were have wherever the blood spatterings is evidence of blood of your companions and the assailants. Apparently, you also notice that the alleyway beside this building, the distribution center, also have some guards and evidence there because of a dead body of a guard that was found as well, with a knife through its throat. You understand that there's a couple of books that have the word evidence written on them as well. These books pertain to messages that are no longer needed. And these books are simply laid out, and you know what these books are. These are just letters that had never been sent, that didn't find its recipient, that the recipient passed away, or they have a certain time limit on them, and it takes a couple of years. But once that happens, these messages, these letters get sent back and compiled in these books for future reference in case the recipient can be found. So evidence are on these ones specifically.
And I can't tell if there's no way I can tell if there's like anything particularly missing from those books of letters that aren't found. Like, there's not like an empty page or a slot or anything of that nature?
There are actually a couple of torn pages, yes, out of a couple of these books, but they're not in any particular order alphabetically. You don't recognize what order they're in, but they're not. To your best guess, their order of age.
Mm. Oh,
And you can tell specifically that you're probably looking at letters or pages that have been ripped out from maybe 90 years ago, 100 years ago.
Is there anything left on? There's no remnant, nothing to indicate what those letters were.
The pages have been ripped out completely.
Right. I'm going to close the books up, and if I can, I'm going to bring them with us because I just have a feeling that they might be useful in the future.
Okay.
And
All right.
I'll also, as a last thing, I just want to unravel one of those scrolls with the word "the summoning" written on it.
All right.
And I hand it to Kailani and say, "What the hell does this mean?"
Do I know what it means?
You can make your own Arcana check if you want to.
Sure, why not?
Stop watching us and have fun as well. Go swim in the pool. Enjoy yourself, Jeannie. Miss you.
What am I making? Arcana. That's 12.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, the summoning can mean many things. The summoning of creatures, summoning of spells, summoning of one person from one place to another. Demonic creatures can be summoned from the hells, and that's probably where the most knowledge comes in, with stories of that. But that's about it.
I'm gonna be so honest, Ivor. I have no fucking idea what this is specifically referencing. It could reference anything from summoning like actual demons, all the way to I don't know, summoning some hope inwardly. It could be anything.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna take one final look around the place. This has given us something more to go on, but it hasn't been particularly illuminating.
No, but I mean, we did learn about that Dylan guy.
Yeah, I mean, I just wouldn't. I'd be very concerned if when we met him, it wasn't actually him, because I didn't clock that at all.
Well, that's the point.
No, but still,
Would you, looking at me now, if I walked past you and I didn't tell you that I transformed, you wouldn't know.
no, I wouldn't. I'm
Correct.
concerned now as well. It's got me second guessing everything. All right. Well, then I guess we'll head back to the inn and wait for the others, unless there's anything else you want to do.
Well, no, I don't. Unless anyone's going to freely talk about Molestra here, then probably not.
No one would. And the vast majority of them weren't even around in those days. I
Mm,
honestly think I don't know. I don't think it's Molestra. I think it's something to do with the total portal.
could be, but maybe the two are
Maybe,
connected.
maybe. I guess we'll head back.
How long's the total portal been around for?
Only in the rarest of circumstances, but pretty much a couple of years after we were founded. We're back when we were just hoofing it across the
Yeah, but
countryside.
who in your organization created it?
We didn't create it. I. It's called the Turtle Portal because I saved that random turtle.
Yeah, but that insinuates its existence before you found it.
Yeah, it existed well before we found it.
That's my point, is that, like, who's to say that it hasn't been around since before the last few wars?
Oh, probably.
And
I
if
always
that's
thought it
the
was just.
case, again, like, it's all connected.
I always thought it was just like a nifty spell. You know, like I can kind of create, like I
I've
cast a
actually
spell
never
and
seen you cast magic ever.
I that hurts me. But anyway, I just assumed it was manifested by the spell and it kind of connected the places you needed to go, like a bridge, like a magic bridge. But no, I don't really know much about it. No one does.
Cool.
It does seem to be pretty big in there.
Okay. Maybe
Gonna
one
head
day you
back.
can take us there.
The cost is, yeah, they've only ever done it that once or twice, and the cost is pretty high.
Yeah, well, I'm sure maybe it's your shout.
Okay. It's not about gold. And anyway,
Yeah,
I'll
I
start
wasn't
to head.
insinuating gold. And as we're walking back, I'm saying this.
That's not
Wasn't insinuating gold.
cool.
But maybe it's time for you to give up something.
That which is most dear to me.
Yeah,
That's a hard one. You have to know what it is as well. Most people don't even know what's most dear to them.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah, maybe.
We leave you three to head back into the inn as Locke, Rin, and Lila, you all start to head towards the graveyard. Lila, as she's walking with you both, she looks curiously towards the gate and then towards the outside where the it's about a kilometer away, this graveyard, and she says, what is it that we're expecting to see there? Are we just wanting to make sure that, I guess, the bodies are still there and um, everything is as we expect it to be? And what if something has changed and the should we be expecting lots of changelings within the Wayfarers already established? Like Kailani said, how do we even overcome that sort of number of people?
To be honest, I think we're just gathering information at the moment. If Kailani is right, the people that they take form over or chosen to be, they end up killing first. And we did see those bodies here the other day, whether or not that was truth or not. I must admit, I think is true, considering we spoke to one of them, but after the events of the sorting house, I'm not quite sure. Again, I think this should be fairly quick.
Did you want to add anything, Rin?
Well, I mean, that all makes sense if you just completely forget about a very magical book that's humming and time ghosts that wake us up at the middle of the night and point at the sorting thing. So
Yes.
I don't know. You've had a rest. Can you do your speak to dead again?
I can actually.
I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter if they've been burnt. They could still dead talk to us. I want to ask him about
Yes, that's true.
if it's like we actually were back in time and that was when they originally got attacked, then maybe we could ask them, like, hey, who saved you? And if they say a very handsome looking, furry young shifter boy, then I know that I am a time traveling shifter and I'm very special.
Rune, you are special to us, but yes, I'd be interested to hear what they have to say about that. Which reminds me, I didn't get the opportunity back in the tavern. I don't know if this even has any role to play in this situation, other than we just found this here. And I'll pull out the book with the clocks on it. It was mentioned before. I didn't get an opportunity to show you it. I'm actually not a fair question. Answer. DM question. Do I know it would be a book, some form of magical book with chrono magic?
Yeah, your Arcana. Well, your spell casting ability per se does lend to the hints that there is chronomancy in this book. By possessing the book, though, you haven't yet seen spells that specifically are designed to learn chronomancy spells. It looks like you just don't know what it does. But definitely evidence of there being that front cover, the names of those powerful wizards, and those terms, the past and the present, that all sticks together to you enough to know that there's some sort of chronomancy happening here. Yeah.
Here, and I'll pull out the rucksack and present it to Lila.
Mm-hmm.
I believe this is some form of, whether or not it is a chronomantic book or possesses some form of time magic, I do not know. It's not within my ability to understand this with what I actually know with gods and things. Perhaps you might be the better author to understand what this is.
Lila puts it away and she said, I'll have a look soon. We're approaching the graveyard now. We'll have a look. I'll study it in time. And you sort of rise over the top of a small hill and see the graveyard. There's no one there. In fact, there is someone there. As you round the corner, you see a procession. This procession has about 20 people. Pallbearers lift a coffin with what we would assume to be a deceased person in this coffin, of this deep brown wood, and behind them another 20 mourners, it seems, of all humanoid looking, and they're slowly singing some sort of sad song. You can't really make it from here what it is. You don't recognize it, but it's definitely emotional in its in its tune. As you get a little closer, something else that takes your eye is that the graveyard, there doesn't seem to be any evidence of destruction here. There also, as you get closer and see what looks to be the pallbearers bringing the coffin into the graveyard, into the crypt under the earth. You don't seem to see any signs of flames burning. What essentially Annalise and Lila did together, nothing.
Where they're bringing the body, what I assume is the body, into the underground, is that the same crypt that Lord
Dorez.
Dorez went into as well?
Yeah, same one. Yep, exactly the same. This graveyard isn't a large one. You do see these stone coffins, but they're empty. They don't seem to have been. They almost seem to be being prepared for something else. They're plain. They don't have any bodies in them. And looking around, there's no evidence of any disturbances in the earth. You can make your own checks if you'd like to look a bit deeper at this scene. But while
It's
you
only
do,
been like it's been less than 24 hours, really. We took a night's sleep and
correct. So to that effect, you would expect to see some sort of destruction here, some sort of damage, and some sort of bones on the ground because you defeated a heavily armed minotaur made of bones only a night before. It's just unseemly. Lila voices that concern as well. She says, "Where the hell is everything? What did we actually do here? Did someone clean this up so thoroughly that there left simply no evidence? That's not to be." And especially when the coffins have no one in them. I mean, it could just be coincidence. Who could clean something up this quickly?
I too think that this is impossible unless there is some magic to be played here. And can I roll an Arcana check to see if there's any illusions going on?
So once again, detect magic would have you understand if there's a school of spell that's being cast around this area and what school of magic that would be. Arcana would have you simply understand from book reading if there would be a possibility that something mage or spell like could clean this up that quickly.
Okay. In which case, I'll stand by my statement. It seems we might be made a fool, Rin.
I don't know. Time goes. Pub.
Yeah, I must admit, however, we still have the items that came from that fight.
No, we're not without them. So it did happen. We know it happened, but perhaps something changed, something minute changed, and either something cleaned this place up very quickly, or something else has happened, and perhaps the book has something to do with it.
I feel
And
like
as
we've
you
been made a fool at each corner we turn here.
as you say that, you notice that out from the entrance to this graveyard dances a translucent young woman. in a white dress, and she moves gracefully between the gravestones sticking out of the earth.
Should we go? Before we get embroiled into some other event.
Maybe we're still in the past and we technically never met her yet. She's still cursed. Is there anyone following her? She's singing.
Lala, you do see
Nothing's.
this as well.
She nods and she says, "Yes, I do." No one's singing. No one's having any. There's no song around. No, there's just this visage in front of you. But she does approach eventually, standing only a few feet away from you. She puts her hands behind her back. Welcome back.
All right.
And her voice echoes a little in the wind.
Do you have a nice evening in your crypt with Torres?
Lord Dorez is currently experimenting below the earth here.
Well, like 40 people just walked down there, so I guess he's got some more experiments to do.
Are
They
they
will
with
not
him or
find
you?
him. They will not find him. They are not with him. And I mentioned I have my own free will, but I am also controlled by him a little. I am told where to travel, but I can speak my own mind.
And if you're controlled by him, it sounds like we can't trust you.
My movements are controlled by him. My words are my own, sir.
By proxy, then why are you here?
I'm here because he has asked me to be here to look out for any unruly travelers, any threat to his experiments. But I can tell
And
him none
whom
exist.
odd for someone who would explicably be a guard for Dorez.
Again, he controls my actions, not my words.
So what words would you speak to us?
One of warning. There is magic amongst you that is powerful and unpredictable. To know your own way, I would cast away that book. Put it somewhere deep within the earth that no one can find it. It is unbreakable and powerful. What you see before you is something that has happened before and after. You were a part of history here. You saved the wayfarers. That means if you have seen them, they are real. You brought them back. Perhaps inadvertently, but you did. But once again, I know you had burnt this graveyard. I know my leading was not important to you. But you have another chance. I had asked you before to save me. Take my bones and take them to a cleric. Or someone powerful enough to bring me back. I'm simply asking because the book is on my side in this moment, and I plead again.
What do you mean on your side?
Well, it seems as though you have returned and I am still here, which means I am not destroyed. And that means something most likely the book which I can detect is perhaps bringing us together in a way. I know not. I'm simply guessing at this point. I'm tethered to the earth like many other ghosts and apparitions. I'm simply one that has the opportunity to ask for the help.
Well, who were you before you died to be so important to this book then?
And Lord
I don't know.
Durez.
Hmm?
And Lord Durez.
I don't know. I believe in death, Lord Dorez found me after I died. And he was experimenting on others, and he thought I would be simply one of them. I am simply a lookout for him and his dastardly things he does down there, his hideout where no one can find him. But I'm just a normal girl. I grew up near here. I was buried here. I'm no one special, and I don't think the book that you carry with you has particularly focused on me. I think it's luck more than anything. I'm using that to my advantage, that's all. That timeliness.
I'll look to Lila. Is she giving any insight into what the fuck's this about? Or
She does look a little confused, though she's looking more at the book than at the girl now. And she had closed her eyes and opened them as you had spoken to the girl and looked back at Lila every so often. And you do see magic being formed in the form of a spell or two between Lila and the book. And as her eyes open, she says, though the pages still cannot be unraveled, I do sense she is correct in that way, that the book isn't specifically designing itself for her. It's had simply come across it by in for her fortune. What is stopping us from helping her? Lila asks.
A
What are your
necromancer
reservations,
who killed 12s?
Lord Dorez?
I must admit, I'll grab the book off of Lila. Damn Lord Durez. He's an insufferable. And I must admit, a creature that has been dead for as long as you admit. Would you not yearn for rest? I find it a little bit perplexing that you wish to be returned. Not many creatures want that kind of thing.
Many have
Other than
unfinished business.
perhaps, but the ones that want to wreak havoc on the world are the ones that tend to wish to come back.
Wreak
Vampires,
havoc.
ghouls. Would you not be better off to go to your resting place? Have us deal with Lord Durez, and you can go back to sleep.
Make a persuasion check for me, please.
Ooh. It's a 19 with a 7.
Okay, so not much.
26.
All right. Her hands fall by her side, and she says quite plainly, I do have unfinished business, yes.
Many others do, but they don't yearn to come back.
I was sick.
I feel like you're a trick.
Hear me, please. And I have people that can people who are alive that can corroborate my story once you hear it.
So you know something of your afterlife.
I grew up quite sick, quite ill. My parents, they took care of me for as long as they could. My father decided at one point that it was quite a bit too much effort, too much work, and he left. He left my mother to take care of me by herself in a village not far from here. This was only some months ago. I owe my mother so much, and certain happenstance has me wanting to give back as much as I can. She's alone now. The sickness took me. When it did, I saw that last look on my mother's eyes as I passed. If you ever want to see someone with a look of defeat on their faces, don't look at generals who have lost battles. Don't look at teachers who fail their students. Look at someone who has spent the majority of their adult lives keeping another alive, spending all they had, every last copper, on every witch doctors and clerics and mages magic and potion and herbs, and then look at them when all of that has failed and they are not just left with nothing but less than nothing. That look, sir, is the last one I remember of my mother. That defeat I cannot bear. That defeat has kept me here. That has enough magic, you should know, to keep me fighting. To keep me fighting that bastard Dorez from experimenting on me. It has given me the willpower in death to be here and ask for your help. And
Perhaps
should you
you're at
not,
the,
go on.
perhaps you're at the mercy of your own unfortunate demise, which is fair, and that is why Lord Derez has picked you amongst, and I'll just gesture towards the graveyard. Many have died here. Perhaps it's you that needs to make peace so you can leave this plane and no longer be a puppet to someone else.
I would no longer be a puppet if I were raised back, either. Should I
Nor would you be
return?
unnatural.
No, not at all. Should one perish and be brought back to the living as they were the moment they passed, that is not unnatural. The order of things of this world, the magic that is incorporated in everything. You should know. I feel it in you. Should you not use your magic for good and would one day, you will have the need, I'm sure, to resurrect a friend, a family member. Should that soul wish to come back and you cast that spell, you cannot deny them.
The difference here is that we know you're under control from someone else. You said it
Only
yourself.
partially. I am, but only partially. Again, I need not say what I saw here. He thinks he has a full hold on me. He is not as powerful as you think, sir. He certainly he is an amateur necromancer. He dabbles in necromancy a little, but I see your powers. You can upturn his devilish experiments. You are more powerful than you think.
Then a test, I guess. If you have free will still, why don't you go tell Lord Derez we're here? Bring him out, if he's not as powerful. Let us see his demise here, today, in this town.
The one aspect I'm not sure of, I would do so in a moment, but I don't know what would happen if his hold on me were to be diminished upon death. Would I perish back into the ground? Would I have full control of my faculties in death? I'm not sure. I don't want to become something evil, something else. In this form, I know, in this state that I am, I know that I can come back. Should he give me, should I be relieved of my control? I
And your
don't know.
bones, then? What of them? Where are they?
They're yours. Take them. I can lead you to them.
And your
I
mother, is
simply
she
have.
still here?
Yes.
And I'll look to the others for confirmation of what they want to do.
Yeah, like, I don't know. He told us that if we go down there, we'll never find him. But you can lead us to your bones. So I know we got a couple of friends at the pub that probably want to get involved in this, or maybe when we go back, they'll be like, nah, fuck that, and we'll leave and you probably won't hear from us again. They're pretty much the two options. Also, if you tell us who your mother is, I can give her a gold bar.
Is that what you call it?
No, that's a red block.
Lila?
Well, should you go back and I do not see you, and I don't not see you return, then I will know that I'm not going to be brought back to the world, and that is okay. I will make
Is
peace with
this
that.
Lila or the ghost?
No, this is the ghost.
Ghost.
Yeah. Lila says, "My instinct tells me to help a child, but I am also wary like you, Locke, and the hold that this Lord Doris has. Although if this ghost truly feels like Lord Doris is weak, I am ready to kill him and whoever he stands for. These experiments sound purely disgusting."
And I've learned that she's tied to the book. Is that right?
Whom?
The ghost.
No, not necessarily. The ghost had come to understand that the book has power to manipulate time to a point, but she truly seems to feel like it was simply luck that brought you back to her.
Oh, right. Okay. How many people went into the crypt?
About 20 or so. And make a perception check, another perception check as you focus back
Did
in
they
on
have
that aspect.
Did they have weapons?
No, they didn't when you looked at them, no.
Yeah, that one's not so good. 4 and 3. 7.
Okay. So yeah, there are about 20 people that went in, and they didn't have weapons, no.
All right. You'll have to forgive us. I know that we helped you the other night, if you even remember that, or if that was even the thing that happened.
I remember.
But there's too much at stake here. I'd have to convene with my other companions before we make a decision here.
I would not expect any less.
And I don't know, I feel like we can't stay here now. I'll gesture to Rin and be like, do we leave?
Yeah, like, I don't know. Do you want to tell us who your mother is? Because I'm pretty confident that we're going to go back to the pub and say, hey, the ghost lady turned up, and then the short dwarf guy that you probably saw will be like, well, fuck that, what do I care? And then the other one will be like, well, I want to get out of this town. And then, at least this way I might be able to give your mother a gold bar to help pay for all the medicines that she gave you. Like,
Well, that would
just being
be.
honest. I don't want to tell you, yeah, we're definitely coming back, and then you're like sitting there and the sun goes down. It's just a very sad scene.
I understand.
We might
Um,
come back. I'm not saying we won't. I say we might, but that's just normally how it goes.
yeah, again, I understand. Thank you. Thank you for considering it at least. I truly do appreciate it. How long will you be? Do you
I
know?
don't know. How long does it take to walk like a kilometer back to the pub, and then maybe like a 10-minute conversation, and then I guess maybe a kilometer to back here if we're coming. So I would say if I'm going to see you, it'll probably be in about half an hour, 45 minutes.
Very well. Tane is her name.
Do you want to spell that? Because that kind of broke up in my ears a
T
little
A
bit.
Tane. Tane.
Yeah, right. Tikitane. That's my mimetic thing to remember. Tikitane. All right. Where does she live? Is it close to the pub?
There's a homestead or a little farmstead about 5 kilometers outside of Avaroth, and she guides you to essentially due east of the town you were in. She has described a little farmstead that has uh, a red tiled roof, a single story building, wheat fields all around.
All right. Well, I guess we'll go back and talk to the others, and if we see you, it will probably be in the next hour.
She simply nods silently and starts to walk back into the crypt. And you can make a perception check too, please, Rin.
Hey, that is a 27.
27. Okay. You have a very good indication that it's a different song, but the same voices are singing and it echoes out of the crypt. It's more of a hopeful song now, a little faster, a little lower pitched, but it does seem like these 20 odd mourners are still somewhere within the crypt, not far from the entrance, still mourning, still burying the dead. As you and Lila and Locke start to find your way back to the inn, what would you'd almost get there at the same time, but Kailani and Ivor and Annalise would get there maybe 5-10 minutes beforehand. Is there anything you'd like to do, or you're happy just to wait?
Happy just waiting.
Yeah.
All right, you find yourselves soon, and you're back in the inn together again. Do you want to do anything about retelling your tale, or would you like to just assume you've retold everything to each other?
I would have let Ivor take the lead in terms of the distribution center. That's his tale to tell.
I'll
Sure.
convey all of that, and I show off in particular the funky scrolls with the word summoning written on them.
Mm-hmm.
I'll show off the book with the particular pages missing. When we get to the point about the ghost, when I get told about that, I'll be like, "What difference does that make to me? I don't care." Um,
See, I told you, Locke.
um, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, I really want to know if either of these two can have any insights about the weird summoning scroll, brown paper with red ink on it.
That's Rin's wheelhouse.
Yeah,
I'll check the
reading.
scrolls. When we get in, yeah, I'll check the scrolls.
Okay. The scrolls are small, hand size, and you open one up, and it says the summoning on it in red ink. You can make yourself another Arcana check if you want to know more.
Like little post-it notes.
Yeah, almost.
16. 24.
Okay. There's as you focus on the piece of paper, instantly you blink, and you thought as you blinked, you just saw a circle of flame behind your eyes. And then it was you remember it was on a rocky mountainside of yellow stone. And you just heard screams. But then you're back here.
You
And the
okay?
words are on the page, and you don't have any other indication of what they might mean.
You kind of zoned out for a second there.
Was it a good scream I heard? Like festival
Yeah,
scream?
throws of passion. No, they were certainly that
What?
of
Like good vibes?
no, they definitely were signs of pain.
All right. Okay. Yellow stone that I noticed as well. Do I know
Nature
where that
check.
might be? Nature's not so good.
Can I get in on that? Or give him advantage on that if he describes it?
If I can
Sure.
describe it, because that would be helpful. Because I rolled a 3.
I would ask you when you just went silent and started staring off in the
I'm like,
distance.
what's that? Yellow stones. Screams. I can re-roll that.
With advantage, yes.
Ooh, I rolled a 2 and a 3. So 5 in total.
Okay.
5.
A 5. It's not enough for you to understand the origins of this. No, you don't recall any. You can't place it.
In which case, this is not obviously by the note itself. It may give away that it is of evil intent, and I'm picking up a somewhat imaginable amount of pain coming from this summon. Something to not be trifled with.
That's very ominous and also not very illuminating. That's kind of been the theme.
Oh, yeah, of course. Kailani?
Transform back into the human form I've been wearing for some time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm unsure on what illuminating facts you think I can bring to this conversation. Um, what is our plan? Because we learnt minor facts from our side, and it sounds like you learnt a little bit more about Lord Durez and the woman in white, but frankly, without sounding like a dick, I just don't care.
Yeah. Kalani, I would almost be in agreement with you. The situation as it unfolded in the graveyard just gives more riddles. Feels like more of a snake tongue conversation than anything else. The lady that we helped decurse the other night apparently is under control of Lord Durez, but can speak freely. She also does desperately wish to be resurrected. At the cost, which
I'm
would
sure
be
she
a tremendous
does.
amount.
No one wants to die. I don't want to die.
The only thing that she may be able to helpful for is that she's said that he's weak at the moment and that we should defeat him, whether or not that happens now. I can't trust her.
I have no reason to trust her, and frankly, no reason to care. I know that sounds horrible, and I'm not claiming to be a saint or anything, but I, it feels like something that is just going to consume our time and add little value to us. I don't know why these people even care. I don't know why this Lord Durez has even paid any attention to us. We're just fucking five normal people that have managed to do a kind of cool thing here and there.
We do keep just crossing paths, popping up too often.
Yes, but we're not
There's
fucking
obviously
heroes
my
of the realm. We're not like, the prodigies of the five or anything like that. We're literally just people at this point in time.
Mm-hmm. Perhaps then we need to leave this place. That's for sure.
Oh, yes, we needed to leave this place 12 hours ago.
Perhaps we should even pack and maybe not even spend another night. Maybe just leave because this place is crawling with changelings, and we have no means to spot them.
I mean, no, we don't know that for sure. That is absolutely an assumption I have, however.
It's a good
I
assumption, though, Kalani.
I would tend to believe you. So
Yes.
much so that I don't think it was worth. If every person we meet we can't trust,
Oh,
but
welcome
then
to the rest of your life while you're still spending time around me.
perhaps we should seek. We know a dragon. We know dragons have the ability to spy them out. Perhaps that's our next path.
I just
Determining
still
some
feel
means.
like there are more important things that potentially need our attention.
Fair.
Such
Lila
as?
turns to you and says, "Yes, such as."
I'm not going to give this speech again of all the different options and paths that we have that we can take. I've given us options. I am not the group's leader. You can all decide amongst yourselves. You are all grown-ups.
Your input's important, though.
And I've given it. I'm not sitting here gatekeeping my opinion.
Care to elaborate?
Was I speaking to a wall earlier? Like, there were literally 3 or 4 different suggestions I gave. Number 1, let's go and speak to Farizo. Number 2, let's find out more about the Wayfarers. Number 3, let's try and figure out more about Molestra. Like, I've given options. It is now up to you all to decide what is most important to you.
So I thought that was what you guys went to go do at the sorting house.
Yes, but there
Find out
are
more about
threads
that.
from there that we can also chase. Like your friend Dylan, for example. It's obviously not who he says he is.
I didn't know that. Thank you.
No, I think Sheldon did say that he told you all that. That he repeated everything that we went through.
Oh, yeah, but anyways, I just wouldn't know where to start with looking for Dylan. I
Okay,
suppose I
but
could post him.
Lila, can you not track people or like locate people?
Yes, I can. Do you have anything of his I could possibly use?
Oh,
That is once again if that's the group's consensus on what to do.
I don't think I have anything of specifically belong to him. I guess
That's
I could.
not a massive issue. You can cast your silent image and show me
That was the
what they look like. Perhaps that will help identify where he might be.
100%. And I will again, once again, I'll cast silent image and I'll show you a picture of Dylan. But he looks younger than the one that you guys saw, and the Dylan that you met at the tavern long ago or yesterday, or 3 days ago. And he seems younger. His robe's on his patch. His hair is a little bit lighter, less grey in it. And he's standing in a field. And the field behind him, there's mountains, and a very stormy, sunsetty looking sky. That's him.
What I will do is that our next venture.
But again, the reason we're looking for him is that he alone amongst the Wayfarers could be a changeling.
Yes, which would mean
So,
he would likely understand what sort of power they're seeking from the Wayfarers. Maybe even what this summoning means.
or shouldn't we have the means to detect if he is one first?
Well, the other thing we could do is just kill him, because once you die, you revert to your form. That's not going to help with the questioning standpoint. But,
And what if we do a whoopsie and it's just him?
well, no, that was kind of a joke, Ivor.
Oh, I considered it again after that alley. We crossed the line then.
But
okay.
we have reason to suspect already.
That's
It's
right.
not
he
like
lied about it.
we're not going in blind.
So let's find the wizard.
So Farizo it is.
No, sorry. Let's find.
If that's what you mean by wizard.
No, not Farizo. I also have suspicions about Farizo after the graves we found. I put it out of my mind.
Suspicious of him for a while.
Are you mistaking Dylan, the bald guy, with the other old wizard that you mentioned?
No, just a slip of the tongue. Is Dylan we're looking for?
The bald one, yeah, that we all met.
Yes, that
Okay.
you all met.
Right then, Dylan, what's our best lead on him then?
A location spell. I turn to Lila.
How long
Lila
does that
is-
take to cast, Lila?
Only about a minute. I'll just be a moment. And she closes her eyes.
I'll be back in a sec. I'm just going to
Where are you
sprint out
going?
the door. double dashing, and I'm gonna, like a paper boy, lob a gold bar at Tani's door, and then run back. Should take 10 minutes or so at top speed.
Yes, it should. All right. Are you're not like exhausted after that as the effect or anything, are you?
Well, I guess that's for you to tell me. I'm just double dashing for 5k to throw a gold bar at the
Yeah,
door.
just one after the other. Look, I think for this then you'd need to do me two things. One would be a
Yep.
survival check just to see if you can locate the farmstead, and a Constitution saving throw, please.
Survival is a 18,
Okay.
and a Constitution saving is a 22.
Phew. All right. Well, you find the farmstead. It's a little worse for wear than what the description was. It looks almost as though it's unlivable, but you know the structural stuff is still standing. There are walls. There's a roof, though part of the roof looks like it's caved in a little bit, and then half thatched up as though someone just half-heartedly tried to keep the rain out one night and just kept it that way. A little smell coming from there. It's almost earthy in its in its smell. But you toss the gold bar onto the first couple of stairs, turn and run back, and you don't break a sweat. You do that jogging and then walking, jogging and then walking, and that's the most efficient way, and it gets you back in good time. Up until then, Lila opens her eyes and she says, "What? We saw Dylan in course, didn't we?
Yes.
He's moved further west from our position currently. Um, it looks like he's moving quickly. He may be on the lightning rail heading towards here, and then uh, after that, I'm not sure.
How far west?
He's at the moment. He seems to be, but perhaps a day or two away." As though he changed his mind halfway through going west and turned around.
Heading in our direction.
Yes.
I'm going to turn to the others. If I unroll the map that's there, is there somewhere in between where he is and where we are now that would be a better place to meet him than this trap town?
Sure. Let's have a quick look here for you. There are a few towns that are between here and there. There's nothing substantial. Let's have a look here. Yeah, you'd think a town called. You could go to potentially Sigil Star or Athandra. Sigil Star is south of you, and Athandra is sort of westish. There's a couple of other towns, Tellin, Morning Crest, a couple of places there that are maybe up to a week away, that you could quickly get to, as well, the quickest that you can get to.
So then that'd be pretty much the only places that we could intercept him at before we get here.
Yeah.
All right. So that's how I say, well, if he's headed this way, I don't want to meet him here. Especially if he's just coming to either, if it is him, it'll be hard to put pressure on him while all the other wayfarers and Renly are around. And if it isn't him and it's a changeling, then would prefer to fight it one-on-one and not surrounded by its friends and just upstairs from Lord Dorez.
So you wish to jump him at some point?
Well, to meet him on neutral ground at least.
Have you got an idea of what opportunity we may have for that?
If he's west of here traveling towards us, and I'll point towards the two towns, which were Sigil Spire, and what was the second
Sigil
one?
Star, yeah.
Sigil Star, and what was the second one? Started with A.
Sigil Star or Athandra.
Which of those two, just knowing off the top of my head, am I most likely to find magical artisans?
Probably Sigil Star out of the two.
So,
If say he is a changeling, Kailani, is there anything? Is there a sign that you give to one another,
No,
like a thieves' cart?
no, no. The whole thing was blending. That's the entire thing. The only thing I will say is that it's a little bit ironic thinking about it. The entire thing was that originally we weren't supposed to hide our forms. We were supposed to be proud of them. Um, and that the shifting of forms was purely to be used for power gain and manipulation, not for anything but that. So, I mean, somewhere out there, there's going to be at least a group of people that aren't hiding who they are.
Would all changelings in that group? I could be going totally down the wrong path here. If we were to get him him on a one-on-one, and you changed into somebody that was a part of your group, do you think he'd be forthcoming in information or feel safe? And if not, you could we could flee if he's not a changeling.
It really depends, to be honest with you. The way it all kind of worked, and I think I kind of broke this down already, is that we were all broken up into like families, right? So I had my family and others had theirs. So it would be dependent wholeheartedly on whether they recognized who we were. That being said, my parents were well known enough amongst the people. So there is and I mean, to be fair, they're also likely the only people I could get away with potentially imitating if I needed to, and that's purely based on knowing them. If not my brother per se, whom I have yet to see. We've seen my father, we've seen my mother, we haven't seen him yet.
Fair enough. Perhaps that may not work then. I was thinking
I
maybe if
mean,
we
it
could.
might, but you've also all been seen with me, so
I mean, I can change my eye color.
I'm sure that will work. You got
I
them.
do have a beard. Perhaps I could shave that off.
I'm sure that will work.
Anyway, I'm spitballing here. I mean, maybe we should. It's going to be what a little bit of a hike to get there first. Yes. How many hours?
I assume
Days?
I think if we would do it on the lightning rail and just head to the same town because the two tracks will intersect here.
Perhaps
That
we
is
just
correct.
make the move and we can think about what we need to do on the way there.
Mm.
If Kalani, your will would be okay with it, we might be able to use you as proxy,
Right.
or
Be
perhaps
specific. What
even
do you want me to do?
could you even change into Ivor, as uncomfortable that makes me feel?
I'm
Yes,
fine
I
with it.
could.
That's cool.
That's the entire point. The only thing I couldn't do is grow extra limbs.
Perhaps you feel now that perhaps your fates are intertwined, you obviously have some information to share between one another. Send Kailani and we'll use Rin to bridge a communication together. And we try and find out whether or not this person is a friend or foe.
I mean, we are entirely hinging this on the fact that this person is going to be aggressive or aggro towards us. We don't even know. We can just start by having a conversation. It's going to
Yeah,
be
it might.
4 against 1, or 5, technically.
Well,
6.
including the entourage, right?
Well, yes, depending on how many people he's with.
This
Again,
isn't
maybe we can think about
the,
this on the way to the train.
Yes.
this isn't a person who should be able to do any great magic. So if you see them anything of that nature, it's pretty much gives it away.
Great.
And we also have our talented friend, which in stealth.
Lila says, "Yep, I am here and ready." And she looks towards Rin with a bit of a grin.
I'm back, am I?
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you do hear
Whatever,
that.
whatever you want.
I would just single me and Lila out then. All right, I guess to the lightning round then from here.
These words are said, and the plan is set. You wait without incident for the lightning rail, which arrives and on the same day in the evening, and it will take you, and you are going to go to Sigil Star, as you said, Ivor, to the south, which is incidentally the crossroads or the intersection, and away from the distribution center of the Wayfarers. The lightning rail once again uneventful, thankfully, and relatively quick in comparison to if you had walked or galloped on horse. It takes you some hours, but you arrive at Sigil Star. It's a much larger town, almost city size compared with Avaroth. You can see larger buildings. You can see a much more um, fortified town, one with a keep, reminding you a little of Vedica, but this keep is round and more newly built and much more well maintained. And you can see everywhere that there is very much a religious tone to this town, one that commemorates the Order of the Silver Flame, a very religious group that worships a deity of sorts, a living deity who resides at the capital of Thrain. And this Sigil Star town is no less worshipping of this fact. Now here, Lila continues to use locate person, and in time, she discovers that he has arrived on a different lightning rail, heading in the opposite direction, but had possibly hopped off a little before it had arrived in Sigil Star. A little ways outside of the city, she understands his location to be. You are in the city itself. The laneways or the roads and the streets are very orderly. They are an exact crisscross of streets to have specific squares Nothing is unshaped here, apart from the keep, which is circular. But even that's is on a sort of a square block, massive square blocks with about 20 homes per block. You're almost in the very center of the city, with the intention to track down Dylan and understand a bit more about any suspicions you might have about him. You gather from Lila's detection you are about a couple of hours walk outside of town to be able to catch up with him. So, as you prepare yourselves and as you gather your faculties and any other equipment and things that you might need for your travel, you hope that this interaction is going to be a swift one with answers, and you feel emboldened by Lila by your side. You all level up, and that is where we end the session this evening.
Jeez, level up again.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
Nicely done,
Yay.
everybody. Very well done.
Love that.
A quicker interaction towards the goal, hopefully, one that didn't need any stops along the way, but one with purpose. But thank you, everybody, very much for being here, watching us, and thank you, players.
Oh no.
Oh, you dropped
There he
out for a
is.
second.
There he is. You dropped out there, yeah. We lost you. Ooh.
Meet more. That's a good timing then. Very good timing. Did we go offline or did we?
No. It's not your internet that we're relying on. It's mine, so that's all good. Hey, thanks for stopping by, everyone. We're Fates Group. You can catch us here every Tuesday at 6:45 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. We're leveling up, so it's all going to be bad from here on out. You can hang out sometime this week, likely for some BG3. That'll either be happening by myself or Michele. You can go check out the Lawrites. They are doing a celebration of affiliate status, so you can go watch all the old Sword of the Skulls episodes. It's been getting me through the workday, which has actually been really, really nice. And I believe this weekend Promethean is doing a 24-hour charity stream, so you can check that out over in his Discord at the moment. Other things to shout out. Meeples Dragons, go check them out. They announced something really cool today that you should definitely check out on socials. But on top of that, I'm hanging out with them as an official cast member. Otherwise, we're going to go raid L&L Covers because why not? They are releasing a Castleton soundtrack that they have created in, I believe, I don't remember the exact amount of days. I feel like it's 11. I could be wrong. Other than that, thank you for your time tonight, everybody.
And sorry, Dark Star 87. Hopefully you continue into the next one.
Hang out to the raid though, because it's going to be well worth it. You're going to enjoy where we take you. Otherwise, have a wonderful evening, everyone, and until next Tuesday, we'll see you later. Ah!